Welcome to GoodFlickas, home of the GoodFlickas. Can you take our critiques? Let's find out as we dive into a heavyweight of a movie. Wow, it wasn't that bad. Sure, it was cheesy, but it wasn't that bad. Thank you, Jen. Thank you. I can, you know what? I'm giving it to myself. Little rim shot. I feel good. So yes, we will be talking about Big George Foreman tonight, and I can't remember who was this. Jen's pick.
Yeah.
Excellent. So yeah, we're going to be diving into Big George Foreman, Jen's pick. I am of course Matt, joined tonight by you know what? I actually had a thought on this. I don't have nicknames or fun things to do for you guys, but I did want to. Joining us tonight in the ring, we have Matt in this corner, and in the far left corner, we have Brian.
I knew you were gonna do that. I was like, he's gonna do the announcer voice.
I want to put on what's the guy from Space Jam? Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls. be that guy. But yeah,
that's a parody off of the actual. I forgot. He's the one that says, "Let's get ready to rumble," and I don't know his name, but everyone knows him for that.
Exactly.
Now you just messed me up entirely.
Just imagine jock jams. Think about jock jams.
I don't know, Matt. I just woke up and the air tasted different today.
Oh, he gonna be a champion. I like it. All right. Coming in hard. You know, he gonna do it. I like the shirt actually. I want to talk about. Is that you got your rock? Okay, I was like, who the hell? That's Mickey.
Awesome.
I like it.
Oh, just keep going.
I mean, if we're doing a boxing movie, I gotta represent.
I can respect it. That's actually a really cool shirt. I like it. But in the next corner, we have Jay. Two hands, no ball. What are we gonna do with this? Okay, we gotta. Oh, geez, what the hell is that?
It's my
burger. Okay, I was like, damn, I don't know what kind of meat she's got stacked up on that bread, but damn.
It's like 90% meat and like 10% bread.
But that is a Big George Foreman burger right there. Slap that on the Foreman grill, put a little anti-Tate. What was the Aunt Molly? I don't know. What was the barbecue sauce he did? I don't know why it came out taint. I apologize. It's embarrassing. I'm tired, guys. I'm sorry.
I can tell you one thing. It is not anti-Tate.
It's not. You guys are going to have a lot of moments of that tonight of me like really messing stuff up. It's going to be sad. But and in the last corner, the bearded bastard himself, Nicholas.
I'm gonna give you some sleepy punching.
There it is. We're all freaking tired. Let's have some fun tonight, guys. All right. So Jen, tell us why you picked Big George Foreman.
I have no idea. There's no reason. I remember being at the movie theaters and I saw a preview of it and it looked good, but I think I confused it with another movie entirely because I thought shoes were involved in this, but there's no shoes.
Some shoes.
Yeah.
Were you thinking like?
But anyway, so it's a surprise to me. I thought this was like he like makes a Nike shoe.
Oh no, that's Air. That's for Michael Jordan.
Well, that'll be my next pick.
Air. I don't know if that's on any of the streaming sites that we use for this group. It might be on, I would think, Peacock or maybe HBO.
It'll come. One day.
So to summarize.
Give you time.
So anyway, surprise to me.
Surprisingly, this was not a basketball movie.
So to summarize, I thought I was picking a movie about shoes for us. Turns out,
Not quite. So wow. That's why I picked it. I thought it was an entirely different movie.
Fair enough. You know, with all of the biopics that have been coming out, it makes sense that you start jumbling up the stories if you're not a fan of these guys. I
had no idea George Foreman was a boxer.
You thought he just made a grill?
Yeah. But
I'm sure this is quite educational for you.
He was something, yeah. Like, wow. So, anyways, I'm excited to talk about it and hear what you guys think.
Yeah, absolutely. Anybody want to volunteer first for initial thoughts?
I'll go.
He shot his hand up. All right.
Yeah. So the first time watching this movie, and yeah, I had no idea George Foreman started out as a boxer.
God,
I just.
Ryan, are you dying inside like me? Like, I'm not even a boxing fan, but hearing this, I'm like,
I grew up in like the late 90s, early 2000s, just with George Foreman grill. Like that's what I associated his name with, because that's what my family had. Like they all had George Foreman grills. And I was like, oh, this guy, I thought he was like some like celebrity infomercial, like, you know, created one kind of like a one of a kind product.
Billy Mays here with the George Foreman
famous like for that product. So yeah, had no idea he was a boxer before this. I really enjoy his story though. I think this movie does a great job telling a story about George Foreman. But I do think that some of the acting in the first half of the film is doesn't have a good punch, if you lack for a better metaphor. I felt like I was watching like a melodrama in the beginning, and like while that wasn't bad like in itself, I just wasn't prepared for that. And so, but I really liked how the story was told. I do think it's a little too long, in my opinion, of a film, but it's a biopic, so I assume that they want to get as much as they can in it to tell the full story. But I enjoyed it. The boxing is done really well. Like the production of it, the editing of it. It looks very, very realistic, especially with those like slow-mo shots. And I feel like like whoever makes these boxing films, like they just do a really good job. Yeah, what do I give it? I give it a let's see. I didn't actually write my score down.
Swear to God.
I'll give it a 4.1. I'll give it a 4.1. Yeah. I enjoyed it. Not a perfect film.
Brian, if you don't mind, I'll go next. Cool. One, you son of a bitch. Every fucking time.
Seriously?
Every week. It's not the exact same, but it is.
Oh, man.
It's damn close every freaking week. It blows my mind. But you know what? It's not a bad thing. It just means that you and I happen to think the same way.
That's true, yeah. We're like.
So, Jen,
we're wearing the same shirt today. That's
weird. that's a interesting. But yeah, so Jen, you had mentioned like seeing this trailer. This was a movie that I had seen, I'd seen acknowledged. I'd seen that it was coming out, but at the same time, I was like, I don't have a strong desire to go see this. But it was also not one that I was like, this is going to be crap. So I didn't know exactly what to expect from it. And boxing movies are typically pretty fun and exciting. And I don't want to compare it yet, but I do want to bring up Ali with Will Smith, considering they're two biopics that really take place. Yeah, they intersect. And I while I'm on the subject, I thought it'd be a really cool thing to be like watching those movies, how like they lead up to each other, like getting to see those two biopics side by side and linking up in the fight. Which I think is actually a bit of a problem with this one, because in Ali, it's really building up to the George Foreman fight. And in this one, it's, his fall from grace. But I don't think that they really acknowledged it or built it up the way that they should have. It it doesn't have the same impact, whereas, Ali's winning it and you get the huge rise. With Foreman, it's a fall, but it doesn't necessarily feel as impactful. It doesn't feel like a big climactic moment or anything, but that was a pivotal changing moment in his life, among others that were about to come. I should say that's the catalyst, not the climax. But it doesn't necessarily feel like it. That being said, I think they did a lot of really good things. The story itself, I think, could be a bit stronger. I wanted it to hit me more in the feels. Not to say that it didn't hit me at times, but it didn't necessarily hit me emotionally as much as I wanted it to. But I enjoyed it. I thought the acting was great. It was fun learning about George Foreman because I don't know his history. I don't really know his story. To me, he's always been, other than, getting to the point of, making his grill, releasing the grill and all that stuff. Like, he's always kind of been, in my eyes, the bad guy, because we build up Ali as the greatest ever, and we always kind of focus on his side of the boxing world. And I really love how this movie, it tells his story of like how important boxing was in his life after all of that, how him coming back and getting the championship and all of that stuff, like what it really meant in the moment, and how difficult it was for him to overcome all of that stuff. So I thought they did a really good job. I wish that it could have been a little bit better, but I don't want to harp too much. Nick, you mentioned the fighting. I was kind of a little bit bored by all the boxing. It was okay. And when they had like the first person views, I'm like, it's not giving the punch. It's not having that impact like it should. So I think there are some things that other boxing movies and stories have done better, but this overall is really good. It's really solid. And I think it's a good biopic. I don't think it's great, but they did a good job. So ultimately I gave this a flat 4. Not perfect. Room for improvement. Pretty damn solid.
Much like you, or I'm definitely with you guys on a lot of what you're saying already. This is the first time that I've seen this one. No surprise, it came out in 2023, so you had to get a pretty good jump start to have this be a multiple viewing for you.
5 months old, isn't it?
Yeah, something like that. So, okay, George Foreman's story is very interesting, and in my opinion, it's a great story to be told. The movie that was made is good, but it's not great. There were a lot of things that were missing from this. For the most part, the biggest thing that I found was just the energy. I felt that there was no energy in this movie and I don't like to compare, but sometimes it's what you just have to do. But I'm sorry, the Rocky movies, with the exception of 5,
don't go too into it, because that was a discussion. I want to do the comparison. Okay. Don't go too far.
So I won't dive deep into it. But all I'm saying is they, to me, are like the playbook of how you do a boxing movie. Just plain and simple. And when you have like this type of movie, it's like, okay, I mean, you're much like being in a boxing ring, you're going to go against really big competitors, and the Rocky franchise is a huge competitor to go against when it comes to producing a boxing movie. And I'm sorry, but the franchise was a 1-2-3 knockout for a big George Foreman movie. It just didn't provide the energy that I was looking for. I attribute a lot of it because of A, the fighting scenes. I feel like they were kind of rushed through, and B, the score. The score did not match the vibe of the boxing ring in the matches itself. It's once again, I won't go into too much comparison. The other thing that I feel that this movie did is I think it tried to pack way too much into one thing. I think this probably should have been a mini series or a streaming show versus a movie. it's almost like having the Gotti conversation all over again. You're giving me bits and pieces of it, and then you're just trying to, pack it into like a 2-hour component. I'm sorry. Like, I was looking at this and I'm like, him going from a kid to the Olympics could be like one season. And then it's like, I'm like picking it apart. I'm like, no, this could have been a 3 or 4 season show. And I think they would have gone a lot more bang for their buck. I think it would have been a lot more interesting for everybody because they could have gone into details. We could have been connected to characters more. And I say this because of how interesting his life is. Who goes from title to I'm going through the way of God and I'm going to become a preacher, and now I still get messed up and I got to go back into the ring, and once again I hold the title as the oldest heavyweight title holder in the world. It is such a once in a blue moon story, and I don't think that it should be rushed the way it was rushed. Other than that, though, I thought the acting was, some actors really, really stood out. We'll go into names, but the actor who played Muhammad Ali was killer, just a killer Muhammad Ali. And, I did enjoy this one. And I think that's about all I had to say. It definitely, there's some head scratchers, nitpicks, things to talk about on this one, but I'm giving this one a 3.6 out of 5.
Okay. I'm glad you brought up the guy who played Ali.
All right. Well, I think I feel about the same way as you guys. It's a fantastic story. I can't even say the word fantastic or fabulous. I don't know. It's both. But it was such a good story.
Fantabulous.
Fantabulous story. But the movie itself was a bit weak for me as well. I still watched it like this with the fighting scenes, but I feel if I don't know what to expect, then I watch it with like a fence. So there was that, and I'm excited to talk about it. Because I think Chiki, I think you kind of nailed it for me. It's like it was too rushed, and it's weird because it also felt long, and that's never a good thing. We don't want to feel long. So so I was like, okay, when is this movie over? But the story, it was so beautiful, and that's why I gave it as high of a rating as I did. But I'm definitely tanking my own movie, and I gave it. I'm gonna give it a 3.3.
That's not tanking.
I'm the lowest.
Yeah.
Tanking is like a -5. That's tanking.
The story's too good for that.
I really am before we hop over to the fun fact song and all that stuff, though, we've already brought it up, and I'm really looking forward to the comparisons and stuff. And I know you guys have brought up Rocky constantly throughout all of GoodFlickas. So really looking for, because you guys are passionate about it. So I'm excited for that side of things. I really want to compare things of who we saw from other, because how many of you guys have seen Ollie with Will Smith? You haven't?
I missed that one. Yeah.
Oh man. Well, highly recommend.
Yeah. That's the one with Will Smith, right? As Ali.
Yes. And this is why I'm real disappointed. You brought up the guy who plays Ollie in this one. If we could have compared the two, wow, would this have been a really cool thing to say? Because I want to say George Foreman is basically a mute character in Ollie. He's just the villain. Yeah, that's the really interesting about George Foreman, I think, until he gets to the point of in his real turning his life around kind of thing. I think he's always kind of been seen as the bad guy. But anyway, I'm looking forward to this chat. We got lots of comparisons and fun things to dive into. This is going to be a good one. I wish I had wrote notes, but this will be good. Nick, you got this week's rap ready for us?
Much like you not having names for us, I don't have one this week. I'm sorry.
That's okay. We know that you're under the weather. You're doing this from bed, so we can tell that like it's not a typical week for us. It's Tuesday. Everything's a little off. We'll wait for your edit where you have the fun fact song put into there. But in the meantime, I'm just gonna get a little bit of applause for you because hey, I hit the wrong button.
I know. I kind of want to call Nick Grandpa Joe tonight. What?
You wanted to do what now?
I want to call Nick Grandpa Joe.
Grandpa Joe.
Grandpa Joe? Like from Joe Frazier?
No, from Willy Wonka.
Joe Frazier.
I don't.
Yeah, he made a comparison to the movie. Like I'm not against it. The fact that you clearly haven't seen Willy Wonka or Charlie and the Chocolate Factory makes me a little disappointed.
No, I've seen them, just not.
I got the golden ticket.
Yeah, that bastard, man.
Just
you can't walk, man. You can't do anything. We got a golden ticket.
Boom.
Although I will say,
I can walk again.
In Charlie and the Chocolate Factory, it's a lot worse. But in the original, at least they have the fun, like, oh. But no fun fact song. That's okay. We're gonna hear it in the replay. But let's hop into it.
All right. So, Big George Foreman comes out 2023. What a year. Directed by George Tillman Jr. Pulling up his information right now.
So upset. I have no notes. I'm trying to catch up on all kinds of things.
So George Tillman Jr. Top 4 here that he's got is That Hate You Give, The Longest Ride, Men of Honor. That one sounds very familiar to me. I think I've seen it.
Oh my God. Cuba Gooding Jr. is a naval. I can't remember what his actual position is, but he becomes.
Yes, it was Cuba. Yeah.
He becomes a diver and he loses his legs. And
yes,
no, I can do that.
Oh, okay, so it's been a minute since I've seen that one, but I do remember that one. And then he also has one in 2010, Faster, with The Rock.
I just want to throw out. I haven't seen it, but it's on the watch list. Notorious. He did another biopic for Notorious B.I.G.
I have not seen that one either.
It's on the like that one's on my list. There's a few biopics that like I'm trying to catch up on because I still have Straight Outta Compton, which I actually own. Like that's on the list.
That one's awesome.
I've heard nothing but good things.
That one's so good.
Yeah, it seems
but
like
he didn't direct that. Was he just writer or
nothing?
Oh, nothing. No affiliation.
I don't think so. I'm just going with biopics that I still need to catch up on.
Got it.
But it seems like he's I'd say he's still kind of like a young director. He hasn't done a ton, but he's done enough that I would say significant work, like with Men of Honor and That Hate You Give. Like I remember hearing about this, but I'm not familiar.
No, that didn't even ring a bell for me. So the cast, we've got Khris Davis, who plays George Foreman. We have obviously Forrest Whitaker as Doc. You've got Sullivan Jones as Muhammad. And I would say that those are going to be your top 3 to really mention, give spotlight to. Does anyone have any that they'd like to drop a spotlight on?
No, a question.
Yeah.
There's only one George Foreman for young and old. It was the same guy.
Yes.
Well, 19-year-old George Foreman.
Yeah, not the young. Yeah.
I just want to be clear. Just want to be clear.
George Foreman.
Yeah. It wasn't Schoolyard. George Foreman is. Yeah, George Foreman was not Khris Davis.
I did think they did a great job of him going from like lean, mean, and I don't know if they put him in.
I've got more on that.
Okay.
That's crazy.
I've got more on
won't
that.
talk
Yeah.
more.
Two different
The one
people.
that I want to highlight, because I've never seen her, or at least I think I've never seen her, but you never know with the amount of things you watch. Sometimes they just slip by. But her name is Shine Mom Premier.
Oh,
Boy, that's a tough name. And she
Mom
is the one
Premier.
who played Paula.
What a babe.
She was so beautiful. She
So
is
I just kind of
beautiful.
want to give a little. I'll have more to talk about later, but I did want to acknowledge her actual actress name, so we're not just calling her Paula. Or if we say Paula, we know who we're talking about.
Yeah,
All right.
I had a couple I wanted to.
Oh yeah, go for it.
Well, I wanted to acknowledge because Mary Joan, who the woman who plays Mary Joan, I believe his second wife, she was phenomenal. Like she's just
with the accent.
Yeah.
Yes. Although
Yeah.
I would guess that was her real accent.
I would bet on it.
I'm on her page and like there's not a lot of information about her. But I would guess that that's probably her real accent. I'm curious if she's like maybe is like Trinidadian or Jamaican, but she's lovely accent. Let's just say it. The women in this movie were beautiful. And the men were handsome. Seriously, dude, the guy who played Muhammad, he looked spot on at times. There were moments where he was making a face. I'm like, damn.
Yeah. All right. So the ratings, GoodFlickas, we're going to give this one a 3.75.
Okay.
Letterbox is 3 out of 5. IMDb is 6.6 out of 10. And Roger Ebert was no rating given.
Interesting.
Yeah, nothing to be found on the Ebert site.
It might just be too new that they haven't seen it yet or something, but interesting.
That's their job.
Well, there's 1,000 movies that come out in a year. You can't see them all.
We're gonna take their job.
Yes. We will fill in.
Budget was 32 million. Worldwide gross 6 million.
Yeah.
Ooh. Ew. Well, it is only 5 months old.
Still though, I feel like they just don't advertise movies well. With streaming and everything, it's still a weird situation coming out of pandemic where people want to go to the theater, but they don't keep things in theaters very long anymore.
Yeah.
It used to be you release a movie in theaters, it's there for a minimum of a month. But nowadays it's like, you get 3 weeks, and if it's not like blowing up the box office, we're taking it out and it's going to streaming in a month. And
that's the thing. Or people are banking on it just going to streaming. They're like, I'll just wait for it to go out, so I can watch it in my own home.
Yeah. But I want to say like the issue with advertising is because they don't have most people don't have television anymore, so they're not watching commercials.
Right.
So they have to figure out how to advertise all over social media, and it's tough.
Yeah.
Especially with those bullshit algorithms that just send you crap instead of the stuff you actually want. And then they send you the stuff they actually want. You're like, oh my God, they're listening to me.
Well, that's how the algorithm's supposed to work. Is they send you stuff that you commonly look at. Anyway.
Oscars, Golden Globes, nothing right now. Spoiler alert, nothing in the future.
Probably not. I don't think anybody, bless you. I don't think anybody had like a true like breakthrough performance. No. Even Forrest Whitaker. I mean, like he was great, but he was classic Forrest Whitaker, just doing his thing.
Yeah.
Crushing it. Forrest being Forrest.
All right. So fun facts. A fat suit was not used in the movie at all.
Wow.
I second this. I noticed that.
The director was like, we're not using a fat suit. So filming was split into 2 blocks. In Shape, Foreman, knocked out Foreman.
That's so crazy.
And he did a great job.
Wow.
Davis ate 7,000 calories a day.
Good job.
To put on the weight. Went from 225 pounds to 275 pounds in 6 weeks.
Wow. 6 weeks?
Oh, that's rough.
That sounds so unhealthy.
I hope he got a health hazard bonus for this bullshit.
Oh my God.
That's more than a pound a day, right?
Mm-hmm.
Oh my God. It paid off, but oh God.
6 weeks. Why didn't they extend that?
They probably couldn't. It's like, this is our shooting schedule. Like, he's got to pull it off. Oh God.
Here's my comment. I kind of knew this because there is a shot where you actually see his upper body, like his skin and everything, and I was like, oh, that's not a fat suit. Like, damn. So I was curious to learn about that.
I thought it was 2 different people. That's insane.
It's not.
He does. He looks like a completely different person when he's got kind of like the fro going and like and even just with like fro and like mustache, no mustache, he looks like a completely different person. And then when he shaves head and he gets big and he looks like George Foreman, he looks like a different man. But
that's crazy.
I mean, how many? Sorry, he went from, you said 2 something to
225 to 275.
In 6 weeks.
In 6 weeks.
Gained 50 pounds in 6 weeks.
In 6 weeks.
So 36 days.
I would vomit every day.
42 days. So yeah, a little more than a pound a day.
Yeah.
He didn't work out or nothing, right? Like he didn't move.
They didn't go into. I doubt that they're going to publicize a regimen on how to gain 50 pounds in 6 weeks.
Hard gainers out there. Come on, no excuse. Oh my God.
You know,
I mean, but if you're doing 7,000 calories a day, that'll do it.
I am curious about this as far as like how they shot it, because like you said, like he's got this time period, and then there's that moment like we see him peak big body, and then he drops down a bit.
Mm-hmm.
They would have had to film like all of that later stuff where he drops the weight and is doing the boxing stuff, like in the middle of him doing
probably mid gain.
Yeah, or they like in that 6 week period was him basically like, okay, this is now you've got to get the gut. You get 6 weeks to get as much of a gut as we can get. Film all that stuff of you boxing, and now you keep eating, you get that big belly. Because at that point he doesn't have to box, right? Like he's supposed to be out of shape. He doesn't have to. He doesn't have to have any kind of muscle definition, so he's able to just really chunk out. But my God,
I know, I couldn't believe when I was reading this. I'm like, geez, Davis, talk about commitment to your role.
Oh, and it's crazy. You don't hear too much about the actors who gain weight for roles. Like it happens for sure. I can't remember what movie it was, but Matt Damon, I think he gained like 40 pounds or something for.
Oh, probably no, that's reverse. I was thinking The Martian.
No, I think it was
actually no. He did. Matt Damon put on weight for The Martian only so he can take it off for The Martian.
Oh, because he had to.
Because he was eating nothing but potatoes in Mars.
Yeah.
I'm reading the book right now, actually.
Interesting.
But no, you're right. There is another movie with Damon's in where he actually put on the weight.
I can't remember. Actually, the last time we talked about somebody gaining weight for a role was Joe Pesci for
right.
What role was that? Because he didn't even get the role, but they had
Gotti.
to pay him. Was it? Oh, it was Gotti.
It was for Gotti.
Gotti.
Yeah.
Hi, Gotti.
It's with biopics and making these actors gain weight. That's so funny.
And it's crazy. Like the amount of conversation you could have about what these actors will do for these body transformations. You know, and we've been talking about guys, but what about Charlize Theron for Monster? I mean, she is unrecognizable in that movie.
I haven't seen that.
Don't need to see it, but I'll pull up the picture of her, and you're going to be like, That's the same girl from Italian Job. Yeah.
No, I credit anyone for putting on or taking off weight for a movie. I mean, you are literally just dealing with your own body and your own, anatomy, and you're purposely doing it for a role. So it's just more power to any actor or actress that does that.
Absolutely. It's just. Oof.
So to this day, Foreman still holds record for oldest world heavyweight champion.
Wow.
At 45, I'm not surprised.
Was it 45 or 46?
I think it was 45.
45? Okay. That sounds right. Yeah. The Foreman and Ali 8th round had to be filmed 30 to 40 times to get the 3-punch combo correct.
Wow. So he was really actually tired.
Yeah.
Imagine.
And the last thing that I was able to pull up is there was an original title for this before.
Long one.
Before, hang on, I'm going to try to see if I can actually get the yes, the original title before Big George Foreman, the miraculous story of the once and future heavyweight champion of the world.
Yeah, way too much.
The original title for this was Heart of a Lion.
Ooh. I mean, that's not a bad title, but they didn't bring that up at any point, really.
No,
I mean,
yeah, there was no. It would be an interesting reference to where you're going with that.
When I felt like they called him a tiger more than anything, like you're
right,
you're a tiger
or a beast.
Yeah.
Whoa.
Heart of a
It
beast.
looks so different.
Yeah, sorry. Yeah, I sent that picture of her.
Oh wow!
Do you recognize her?
No.
Oh, that's insane.
Yeah, that's the best example I can think of a woman like really going through a body transformation for a role. I'm sure there's others, but my God, man, you guys are. It's so hard for me to like grasp all of this stuff. You guys remember? I think it's I want to say it's The Machinist with Christian Bale, where he just filmed Batman Begins, so he gained like 30 pounds of muscle for Batman Begins, and then he drops like 60 pounds for The Machinist, where he looked like he's an insomniac, anorexic dude that's just like skin and bones. And then he gains it all back and becomes super yoked for freaking The Dark Knight. Like he went back and forth like crazy.
Wow.
He did The Fighter, where again, he dropped weight again. And oh my God. It's one of those things that I respect that actors will do, but it is insane that it's ever requested of them. God.
It makes you wonder though, is it requested or is it something that they just wanted, that they offered and wanted to do themselves?
I imagine to a degree, it's like it's the artistry of it, right? It's like this is what I do, and like I need to embody this character. I need to be this character.
I need to become this person if I'm going to do a biopic of this person.
Yeah, and I mean, like for losing weight, I can understand. Like, there's not a whole lot of ways around that. I mean, sure, nowadays we can CGI some things, but let's not rely on computers for these things. Although for people's health, maybe we should. But like when gaining weight and that kind of thing, it's like, put a fat suit on him if you can get away with it. Like put a belly on him. Put some
layers
on him. Yeah, it just seems like so much to ask of anybody.
Yeah. I feel like the gaining weight thing would be more so at the actor's intent.
Well, and I know that they're
not cheaper. Like a fat suit would be cheaper, Would
it?
I think so, because you don't have to wait such a long period between filming, because that costs money, right?
I mean, if you're not spending money, like you're taking a hiatus from your shooting, like you're not spending that money. It's like, nope, we're just not filming. So we're not spending any money right now. But if you're buying a fat suit or, you're getting fat suit, you're not just getting one suit, you're having to get multiple suits because it's like, okay, well, we need one for when he's walking around and just standing there. We need one when he's punching and fighting so that it looks, like he can move in it. Like it's, and then you have to make all of those look the same. And there's a lot involved with it. So like certainly a person gaining the weight themselves or losing the weight themselves is the easiest way to make it realistic. But I don't know.
It's probably cheaper than all the food he's eating.
What would you say? Like it was 660. How many calories was he eating?
70,000 calories a day.
I mean, that's like 3.5 Taco Bell boxes, So you can eat for like 30.
He went on the supersize me
diet a day. Yeah.
Jeez. Yeah, he went on the supersize me diet.
At the very least, I hope that he put himself on a mass gainer just to help him with the calorie boost. Where it's, you can get a mass gainer and it will give you like an extra 200. What is it? Man, I used to do them. Damn. 250 something in carbs, I think it was like 250 grams of carbs just in that one setting, and it's powder, so it's a lot easier to consume. But
I feel like there's all kinds of tricks because Tom Hardy for Bane, he gained a bunch of weight and he looks massive, but if you listen to how he explains it, he just nope, I just put on weight in the right spots. Like it's
he did a lot of actual weightlifting too and everything, because it's like he was going for big as in like big bulk, where Foreman or Davis had to go almost like a dirty gain, You couldn't really have like the mass coming from muscle. It had to be actual body fat and weight.
You can't fake a gut like that.
No.
Man, he had a belly too.
He did. I guarantee you he was just junk food galore and just dirty grinding all the way up until film time.
Did anybody else notice when they had the side by sides of like big belly was it Khris Davis? Was it
Khris Davis? Yeah,
Davis. So that big belly Khris Davis, George Foreman next to real life big belly George Foreman. It's like George Foreman is not as big as him.
Yeah,
Chris has a bigger belly than him. It was like, oh man, you put him through too much.
Yeah.
Who I want to see get fluffy is The Rock, because he's known for his like gym addiction. And I wonder if he would ever do that.
There's no way.
No. They put him in a fat suit for Central Intelligence.
I was going to say for Central Intelligence, he got chubby, but it wasn't. And it was weird to see.
Actually, I don't even think they put him in a fat suit. I thought it was a body double and they CGI'd on like his face.
I wouldn't be surprised.
All right, Rock, when you're listening to this, think about it.
There's no way Rock's doing that. He's
a new challenge. Come on.
His body is his temple. Come on.
He's all about like that mental challenge and facing it head on. That would be a hell of a challenge for him.
He is the reason I can't get salmon rolls at sushi bars. So
The Rock would run for president before he did that.
Would you vote for him?
What?
Would you vote for him?
Yes.
Better than what we have now.
Are you kidding me?
Who would fuck with us with The Rock as our president, right? It's like, we don't have to send the troops over. The Rock's just going to come over there and beat the shit out of your president.
I want Kevin Hart and The Rock to both run for president and like a Democrat, like the debates.
Oh dear God. It should just be a fun comedy bit, them doing political debate.
But it's like actually informative and respectful and everything, but they add comedy to it,
Was The Rock's move the people's elbow?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. He had the people's elbow and the rock bottom.
Rock bottom. Watch out, people of Earth. President Rock is coming to drop the people's elbow.
One elbow per country.
Know what he's cooking? Because you better get the fuck out the kitchen if you do.
Yeah. Did you guys hear about Putin? He got the rock bottom in the Oval Office.
Sounds a little sexual.
You got rock bottom.
That's all I have for facts. I guess I can say one fact that I was on the actual movie is Foreman ended up selling his rights to the Foreman Grill for $137 million.
Yeah, was that at the very end?
The movie.
Yes.
Yeah.
I don't think this is something we need to talk about during like the actual movie chat. So since we're talking about this, I didn't like how they did the like, here are the final facts, where here's final facts, here's credits, here's credits, here's credits, here's a final fact. Like,
yeah, it was kind of weird.
It was very disorienting.
I wasn't sure how long to wait for the like. Do I watch all the credits?
I literally did.
It's almost like we're gonna drop a fact. Okay, we know that they're looking. So who do we want them? Whose name do we want them to see?
Mm-hmm.
You know, and then you see like directed by George Foreman Jr. and then a fact produced by. I'm like, okay, so you're going for the easy grab advertisement. I get what you're doing, but it was still strange.
Yeah, I just wasn't a fan. I like it when hit me with all the facts. Let me know how his story has gone or ended right off the bat, and then hit me with the names.
Right.
Go ahead, Nick.
I got a fact or a fun fact. It's more a local one, but George Foreman's first comeback fight was here in Sacramento.
Hey, I noticed that when they were talking about his fight, and they said here in Sacramento. I was like, oh shit, where was that at?
So it was at the Arco Arena. Yeah, if you've watched the fight, you can see like Arco Arena signs in the background, and I'm really curious if they had actually filmed it there, because it looked pretty realistic.
That was the one that's off of 5, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Up towards the airport.
Right, towards the airport. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, and then the thing that confirmed it was when the announcer during the fight was like, "Oh, the Sacramento crowd is going wild" or something like that. And I was like, "Oh yeah. Shit, we are in Sacramento." So yeah, they just dropped that local fun fact for y'all.
Just a few months before I was born.
Pins are made in California.
Yeah. Sacramento just doesn't get enough love in movies, so I gotta rep them.
Good. Sorry, I was looking. George Foreman really did have quite a few kids.
He had 6 kids.
He had more than that, according.
He had more than that because he had 2 from the first wife.
Yeah, right? And that was something I didn't like that they did. Like they acknowledged the children that he named George and Georgetta, which I think were a total of 6. But he had a lot more kids than that. Yeah. And then, I mean, I was trying to look that up because, like, I thought that was an interesting thing. But
oh yeah, I think he ended up having 4 wives.
Shit.
Even though we see 2 in the movie, I think he had 4 wives total.
That's crazy.
See it. My God, though. Sorry, I just looked up his Wikipedia page. He had a total of 81 fights. He lost 5.
Wow.
Damn, that's impressive.
That is insane.
I mean, he lost his first one at like fight number 40 or 41.
It was 41. Yeah, 41 was his first loss.
Muhammad Ali's stats. Who's the fighter?
You're okay. How many did I say? Just 81 fights.
81, 5 losses.
This is. I'm gonna be. So upset, aren't I? 127 fights. I don't know. Oh wow, no, it's less. 61 fights. Same amount of losses, though. 5 losses.
Oh, so Foreman's a better fighter.
Statistically speaking.
By the numbers.
Holy crap, though. They both won Olympic gold. That's cool.
I didn't even know boxing was in the Olympics.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I knew that.
I swear, it's like the younger generations, they have UFC where boxing just, I don't even think boxing is a thing anymore. I mean, I know people still box, but it just doesn't have the capacity that it once had. I mean, at one point it was like if you wanted to see a fight, boxing was the deal.
Boxing coming back though,
especially like earlier on. I mean, when the mob was controlling shit and everything, it's like boxing was like one of their fixes that they would love to do and things like that. But nowadays it's like all about UFC. It's just a very interesting how the times have changed.
It is coming back though, because a lot of like social media influencers and all them, like they're boxing, and there's like these like internet boxing tournaments and stuff, and like the younger gen, like people below, like Gen Z or whatever, like they're way into that kind of stuff. So it's coming back.
I think it rightfully should. UFC is exciting until it's not. It's like sometimes you can have just the most boring fight where they're dancing around the octagon or they're just grappling each other for 5 minutes on the ground, and then they get up and then they do it again. And I'm like, this is really, really boring. Where boxing, it's like punch for punch, man. Like they go at it. They're able to last longer because of obviously the extra padding that they have on the gloves and everything. But you can get some really, really good fights out of it. I'm surprised boxing lost the steam that it did, because I think it's a really good competitive one-on-one sport.
Yeah,
go ahead, Matt.
I'm with you. With UFC, it was the big draw for it was like, oh yeah, it's just mixed martial arts, knockouts. Like that's how they sold it at first. It was like,
right,
it's knockouts every fight, and because that's exciting. That's what people want to see, is somebody get knocked out, which one is pretty fucked up, because it's you see what happens when people are getting punched in the head so many damn times. Like it really messes with you. But UFC ultimately, like what it's come to, in my mind, to basically be is glorified wrestling. It's like you're talking about the grappling. It's always a grappling match. It's just a grappling match. There's every now and then you get some good knockouts with like a punch or a good kick. Like you get a good moment, but most of the time it's really just a wrestling match. They're on the ground and they're just wrestling. Yeah, and it's not fun. It's not exciting, and I mean, how many times do you hear like, oh yeah, there's a fight or whatever? But
they're going for the submission more than anything.
Exactly. And
that's the one thing. That's why I loved watching Conor McGregor, is he was like, forget that. I'm going at this on my feet. I hate going to the ground. I want to stay on my feet. I want you on your feet. And that's why McGregor fights were very interesting to watch, which is why I love watching them. But UFC in general, I'm like, we could probably maybe look into the rules a bit and make this a little bit more interesting.
And with UFC, like with Conor McGregor as an example, that's a guy who's saying like, okay, we're in this fight. We've got these rules. We got all this going on, but I'm controlling the fight. I want it to be the way I want it to be. I'm going to keep it upright. I'm going to keep it punches and kicks. I'm like, that's where I'm strongest. That's where I'm going to keep the game. That's where I'm going to keep the fight. And with boxing, what I liked about what this movie did was it addresses that as well. It's like, there's a strategy to this. It's, it's the dancing, it's feeling, it's moving a person, it's maneuvering them into a position that opens them up. You're trying to get them into a situation. It's like, oh, there's my opportunity. Bam, 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 bam. Take advantage of it. And it's punching. You're hitting every damn time. It can be exciting. I'm not a big boxing fan, but like I find it a lot more exciting to see somebody who's trying to mentally beat you and physically beat you. And you have a little bits of that with UFC, where it's the weigh-ins and you got people doing clown ass shit to try and get a rise out of you. And then, which is always my favorite, when you see the people at the weigh-ins, you got the one guy who's just way too loud and obnoxious and then gets his ass handed to them the next day. And it's like, yeah, fuck you. That was fun to watch. But I don't feel like UFC does that. Like, I don't think fighters really do that, where they control the round. Like, they don't control the fight. It's chaos. But what are you going to do? Any other thoughts or anything? You guys want to take a quick break or anything?
Well, I know what we're going to do. Just take a break.
Take a break? Sweet. Yeah, we'll take a quick 5 to 10 minutes. All right.
I know. If only we had like a bell effect for like the start of our rounds.
I can make that happen.
Nice.
I've got it's a bleeping sound. That's like, so if we're swearing too much, it like bleeps us out. And so it's a if I hold it, it's a sustained. But I just hit it, ding. It's not great. Get a better bell. Get a better bell.
It's like we hear our break song end, and then all of a sudden you hear ding, ding.
Round 2.
Yeah.
That now you have to see. You're gonna have to do that, and you have to do the voiceover. Round 2. Actually, just steal it from Mortal Kombat.
Yeah, I was literally just thinking
just steal it from Mortal Kombat.
Ready? Finish
him. Fight. All right, yeah, let's take a quick 5 to 10 minutes. We'll be right back. Welcome back to GoodFlickas. We're about to begin our deep dive into Big George Foreman, and what better place to start than the very beginning? A very good place to start, which it's kind of depressing. So I don't really know if there's much to kind of like focus on for this intro, like if there's a specific to really go with, other than, you know, we're getting the intro to George Foreman's family and his kind of home life. And it's a strong start, in my opinion, to this movie of like, this is his environment. This is what he had. This is how he's growing up. This is how he's treated. And I thought it was a really good way of humanizing a guy that's most likely been seen as either the guy with the grill, somewhat of a joke, or the villain. Like I feel like a lot of the times George Foreman has not been seen in necessarily the best light in his long career and life. But this was a great way to show where he came from, his origins. And they also really, they dabble with a little bit of the voiceover. And I like that they don't do too much of it because it feels more like internal monologue rather than actual voiceover. But it's really good. It's a strong start, and then it just, I don't know, it kind of it fizzles for me after that though. And then we get 19-year-old George Foreman, and now we're off to the races. But do you guys have it? I don't. Yeah, hands. I don't know if Nick or Brian popped up first. You guys were competing.
This pick.
Go ahead, Nick.
Okay. So I don't expect, you know, anybody to really agree or disagree with me on this, but this is just how I felt. Kid George Foreman, like that part of the movie, I felt like was a little over dramatic to me. It just and not necessarily in like the story itself, but just the way that the scenes played out. Like for when his family, his siblings and his mom, they go into that house, and it's like this disgusting house, and like you could tell like they don't have money, like they're poor. But the scene where like she has the burger and she splits the burger and you know, into fours, and like each sibling gets one, and then one of the sisters is like really hungry, so George, like, you know, gives his half of his
backwards. She gives it to him.
She gave it to him?
She gave it to him.
Oh yeah. It's like, while that in itself is very, you know, like heartwarming, I just felt like when I say melodrama, like it just felt a little over the top to me to have scenes like that in this movie. Like whether it's true or not, I don't know. I don't know why it bothers me. But even the same thing with the George Foreman.
Oh man,
he's getting picked on at the school. Like that scene just felt very melodramatic to me, and I just felt like it wasn't like that. That feeling just wasn't necessary. So I'm just curious if you guys agree with that sort of thing or not, or you know.
Brian, I know you had your hand up, but
go for it.
As far as like the melodrama, that kind of thing, not so much. What I thought was interesting that they did well was they established that he's not necessarily a believer. He's not super religious, and he's very quick to anger. So they do a good job of establishing those facts about him, but I don't think it does a really good job of telling us who he is. Because there's times where they kind of imply that he may be slow learning, or he's not the smartest kid, or just not a great student. But when the first day in class, when the teacher asked who would like to read first, bam, his hand shot up. Like he's active. Like he wanted to be a part of it. He wanted to show off. So like they do a lot of the little subtle things, but I don't think that they did a great job of building him as a character in those moments. Like I don't know if I wouldn't say that they over dramatized anything, like the splitting of the burgers and all of that stuff, but I don't know. It almost felt like he felt selfish to me. That was my problem, right? It was like she splits the little food that they had with all of them, and he's like, oh, I'm so hungry, I could eat this table. And then his sister hands him the other one. It's like, dude, that's all the food you guys got. And like, I get that you're a big dude, but like, come on. And he ate it back. Like, that's what kind of bothered me with him. It was like I didn't really like the person that he was. Jen, I know your hand was up for a moment, but
I was just going to respond to Matt real quick on the whole eating thing. I had a problem with this because that kid is eating well. Like he's not like starving by any means, and it's like, how do you show like a starving child like that doesn't look like he's starving? It just, I don't know. Is that weird? Is that mean to say?
No, I mean, like he's a big kid. Go ahead, Jen.
Okay. This is interesting. I maybe I'm just gonna go on a tangent, but you can be malnourished without looking like the typical malnourished. And I say that from experience because I was the exact same way. I was severely under eating. And if you're not fueling your body, especially at such a young adolescent age, if you're not fueling your body with nutrients, your body has nowhere to grow muscle, no nutrients for anything. Like your bone density's crap, your ability to grow muscles crap. You're just living on empty fuel. And so you could still look like, oh, you're eating a lot, but it's just because your body is storing literally everything because it never knows when it's going to eat again. So it just goes like our bodies don't care about aesthetics. It cares about survival. So it's going to make you hold on to a lot more fat than like if you were actually active and fueling your body properly. So I'm not saying what you said was mean, but I had a full-on eating disorder when I was younger, and I went to therapy, and then the therapist was like, well, you don't look like it. First of all, that's the last thing you ever want to tell somebody that just openly admit it. They have an eating disorder. And another thing is you don't have to look like it in order to have it or in order to be malnourished. 100%.
Yeah, no, that makes sense of like your body is trying to store all of it, especially like if you're not active, like burning that stuff. Like
even if you are, like think about it, you're eating like maybe 800 calories a day, and you are trying to like you're just like I said, you're just going on fumes. It's like trying to push a car.
Yeah. No, I get it. Yeah.
So Matt and Nick, I think you guys might be leaning into the turn a little too hard on this one. In terms of the intro, it's not the greatest intro, but it gets the job done. And what that is it holds your attention. So the first thing we keep talking about is the splitting of the 4 burgers. It's a pretty heavy visualization that's going to instantly kind of hook you in and grab you. And then the next one that brought my attention was the George's teacher. That bitch, that absolute judge a book by a cover, see you next Tuesday. Like, she straight up head to toes him and sees like broken like no shoes or broken down shoes and just this obviously kid from the ghetto. And then she looks over to the, you know, Fresh Prince of Bel-Air over here, and it's like, hell yeah, I'm picking on you. It's like, dude, he didn't even have his hand up. He flew his hand off, like his shoulder practically dislocated, and you don't even call, like, what teacher are you? And so once again, movie, great job, you're catching my attention. Then you get that schoolyard fight where it's like, okay, you've now shown me that his mom already said no fighting. He said, okay, I promise. And the very next day we're getting into a fight, and he's protecting his own family name. So I'm like, okay, he has a heart, he has passion, but he's very quick he has no control of his anger. And then the very next scene, you get him going on Lions Ave with the soundtrack saying about how ghetto Lions Ave is and all that. And then you got Big Boy 19 George Foreman, and here we go. Honestly, I think it's a good way to, it's not the greatest intro of all time, but it's a good way to get the train rolling.
Next. I'll just pick at the teacher scene. Like, the problem I have with that one is maybe I just hate the teacher, but I almost have to think of, like, because writers wrote this scene to play out that way. It just like I can't fathom like that being like a realistic thing that someone would do. Like, look at the one kid with his hand raised head to toe and purposefully not pick on them. Like,
it happens
who
all.
does
what
that?
Was the year?
Like, is that realistic enough to be to be written in a movie, or do they just really want to like hone in on that? Like,
I bet it happened. I'm willing to bet it happened, especially because I don't remember the exact year. In 75, I think.
I thought it was 76.
About right.
So just a few years off of, you know, going through civil rights movements and all that stuff. We're talking about I think they're in Texas, I believe is what he said.
Houston.
I guarantee, I mean, there's got to be like, we're probably just in the start of interracial classrooms and all this stuff. But just because the interracial classrooms were existing, that doesn't mean that racism and prejudice just disappeared.
Right. It probably got worse for a moment.
Well, so I think if it's in this movie, I'm like, I'm almost willing to bet that happened to George, and they wanted that to be a focal point of the movie.
Or, so I just really hate that teacher.
That teacher was the only white person in that entire classroom. I mean, it's not necessarily racism, but it's certainly classism. She saw this kid who was like
prejudice at the very least.
Yeah, she wasn't having it. And I mean, I've been in classrooms where I've seen that kid who like raises his hand. It's like, I know, and they just never seem to get called on.
Yeah,
I'm like, I can't say I understood or knew why they weren't getting called on, but like I've seen it, so I believe it.
He had a bigger purpose.
Yeah.
I do like that he kicked his ass. So I don't know why. It always blows my mind, like how tough kids feel that they are until somebody calls them on. It's like, I'm bulletproof. I'm going to make you feel like shit. And then when somebody stands up to you, they're like, oh yeah, he beat the shit out of me. One punch,
one hit,
popped your ass. Like, I mean,
did he? To me, I don't know about you guys, but did he look like a mini Muhammad Ali to you guys?
You know, I didn't make that connection, but I wonder if that was a thought. A little foreshadowing here.
Yeah.
Say my name. Oh yeah.
But anyway, that's all the 2 cents I had on the intro.
Yeah, I guess I just can't believe that people acted like that back then.
Yeah.
Do they act like that now?
They act like that now.
Yeah.
Don't think we've improved that much. People are still assholes.
Oh, for sure, yeah.
Yeah, I don't have anything more to go on that one. So we're now to Brian's favorite section. I don't have notes, so I'm trying to like come up with a title.
Oh, see,
my title is it's actually it's hard to say. It's more I have to describe it. But my title is 40 hyphen Al 1.
Oh, nice.
Do you guys get what I was going with there?
I get it.
Yeah.
Okay. It's like a visual wordplay, but it on paper it looks really cool. But I was like, how do I actually highlight this? But anyway, that's my title for it. And I think you guys all know which one it is.
The fight.
Yeah. Oh, man. No one else wrote a scene?
I'm trying to think of a title. I guess I'll call mine Little Mirror.
Little Mirror.
Little Mirror.
Okay.
I am gonna go with He Lives in Me.
Oh.
Now I have a scene stuck in my head, and I'm like, now I can't think of any other scene. Okay, I'll make this my scene.
He lives in me.
What?
Wasn't that one of the titles? It was like a lion heart or something, right?
Heart of a Lion?
Heart of a Lion. See, I made some connections.
I'll title it He Stole My Chuck Taylors. Oh.
Okay.
I would have just went with My Shoes.
My shoes.
I actually wrote that scene down. I titled it Bitch Ain't Sneaky.
Oh, nice. That's good. That's good.
I thought it was hilarious that every time somebody looks up at George and they're like, oh, I screwed him over, their immediate instinct is run.
Run.
All right. So I definitely did not hear my scene come up twice. Jen is, I don't know what the hell scene she's talking about.
Yeah, I'm not.
And Matt, I know what your guys' scenes are. So I think we have 4 different scenes.
Yeah.
Been a while.
Should we start with Jen since she's the host?
Yeah, and we have no idea what it is.
Yeah.
Okay, Little Mirror is when, so at this point, George Foreman is a pastor, and it's when that kid and his grandmother come up, and then he sees on the TV that they just robbed the store. So it's like, I don't know, like little mirror, little reflection. I don't know, but it's his inner child for sure. So yeah, I think that's the scene for me. That it made me cry. That was so heartbreaking, because it is like I'm new to I'm not trying to turn this into a preach, but I am new to Christ and in my walk. It's almost like I took the same walk as George. Like, oh, I'm gonna be a pastor, but he had the money to do it, and then we're not everyone's called for that. So I just really relate it, and I can understand this, like the sadness that he must have felt. It's like I could have really helped that person, but instead I like went and threw religion on him, and oh, that's a hard lesson to learn. That's a hard lesson to learn. So that's why I really I like that one.
Yeah. I could segue into mine, but I'll leave that up to you guys if you have thoughts to add on to what Jen said. But what I really liked about that, like you're saying, is the moment of him seeing them on the news and like that clicking of like, I wasn't there. I wasn't listening to him for what he needed. I told him where I wanted him to be, not meeting him where he was and being there for him like I should have. And like you said, it was a tough lesson for him to learn. But I think that's one of George's themes throughout this thing is like he's constantly learning. He has this mentality that like he's untouchable, he's unstoppable, I don't want to say perfect because I don't think he thinks he's perfect, but he has kind of a bit of an arrogance about him, and
in mindset.
Yeah, well, true, and I think that these little moments are the wonderful things that like ground him and bring him back to that reality of like, I don't have it all figured out. I'm not perfect at what I am, and there's always room to grow. There's always something that I can be learning or changing or working on, and like that's a moment. Like as a pastor who has been, I think at that point it was 7 years or 10 years that he's been a preacher, and you know, you do it that long, you have that confidence. You have this, you know, like this is my congregation. This is how I refer to people. This is how I talk to people. And it's easy to forget that like you're not just there to preach the word of God. You're there to be a guide, to be that ear, to be that person that can hear somebody struggle and let them know it's okay. You are not perfect. Nobody is. We will all make mistakes, but you still have the capacity to change your life around, to change your circumstances and better yourself. Whatever that means to you, you still have that in you. You still have that ability, but he missed it. Hi. Oh yeah, black cat.
Then your camera turned off.
Yeah.
No, you're not gonna sit there.
Classic cat. We've been doing this for 3 years. I think that's the first time a cat actively sat like on the computer in front of the camera. Anybody's cat. Go ahead, Brian.
I was just going to add on to the scene that Jen was talking about. How I think it was a good lesson for him to be that he learned about. There's one thing about it's one thing to be a preacher, and then it's another thing to just kind of preach the word of the Lord. And I think he learned the big difference between that via this way, because he basically just said, "This is all you need. Here you go, kid. Here's the Bible. I've done my job." And it's like, oh, that was a really hard lesson, and now I understand exactly what I need, you know, what I should have done, and all that. And then additionally, just to help Jen out, because I know you were struggling a little bit, but a title that I thought of for you is "You Remind Me of a Boy That I Once Knew."
That's good. That's good. I like that. You can if mine wins the scene, change that, please.
I'll just respond quickly too. Like the reason why that scene was powerful to me was it's like the sadness of like seeing this kid, like his life could have potentially changed for good, but because he essentially got turned down by George, he probably thought, well, like I don't have a role model, like people don't care, you know, to be involved in my life, so I'll resort to crime and gangs or whatever. And that's exactly how that happens, is when you don't have those role models that want to be involved in your life. And I'll bet you that mom that was with that kid, like she probably doesn't have the time because she's probably working like 3 jobs or something, you know, and she needs like somebody to be that fatherly figure for him while she's working. And like to me, that's just like incredibly sad. And that's how like,
well, for one, that was his grandma that was with him, not even the mom.
His grandma?
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't realize that. That was mom.
Yeah. So it's like you already know that there might be some
like no
family, you know, family. What is the word? I can't even think of it. Struggles, some family struggles that's going on there.
Yeah. So it was just incredibly sad to see that, because that shit's real.
That's tough.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, and that's the moment too that George did. He he knows he needs to make a change, and that's when he opens up the youth center, right? It's like, and you hear, I'm me being a person who's watched a ton of TV and movies in my life, like there's always so many examples of why it's so important that kids have someplace to go. They go to school, they go home. Well, it's like what's keeping them from being on the streets and getting into trouble and causing, like, they have to have positive outlets. They have to have good role models. They have to have something that is a safe place for them that can allow them to grow in a healthy way. Otherwise, they're gonna find the dangerous things. They're gonna find the bad stuff. They're gonna find a home in that because it's welcoming. Bad people love company, you know? And it was in that moment is so important, of that realization of, I failed this kid. I failed his grandmother. I failed him, and I failed myself. The reason that is so important, like, we see it after that, the youth center becomes the most important thing for him, as far as, you know, keep taking care of these kids. And when he loses it and seeing how much it devastates him, he's sitting there across the street watching the police chain the doors, and he's devastated, and he watches the kids that roll up to it who can't go in, and you know that in his mind he's screaming, I've failed them. They're all of the progress that I've been working for, all of the things that I've been trying to build, all of the wonderful, great things that I've been working on are all gonna go away. It was a waste. It was wasted and lost, and it was a failure. And I think that's probably what hurts too, is he failed again. Wow, big dings. Go ahead, Jen.
Well, is it okay if I hype up God a little bit? So it's really cool because, okay, had the youth center not been in turmoil, then he would have never returned back to boxing. And I believe in my heart, like, that was his true calling. It wasn't to be a pastor. It's definitely to have Christ in his life, absolutely. But that's it. You know, like, continue doing what you're doing. But George, I get it, homie. You get that spirit, and then you want to preach it. I get it. But it's just cool how, you know, God's cool like that it all unfolds. Like, yeah, that was really bad, but it comes full circle. It's like, you're going to get back in that ring. You're going to go right back to what you ran from, and we're going to finish this, but we're going to do it together. And that's it. Yay, Jesus.
And I think it's a great thing with this. And if I can segue into my scene real fast, this movie opens up with the voiceover. I was 28 years old when I died. And then you cut to, you know, he lives in me scene where he finds Jesus. He has that vision. He has that conversation. He has that moment. And they did such a good job at the beginning of this movie. I mean, we were talking about the opening scene, that what little they have, the family prays, and you can see George is like, what is the point of praying? We do this every time, every meal, and nothing has gotten better. What good does it do? And he gets in that mindset of, I don't need anybody else. I just need me. I am going to be the one that gets us out of this situation, that gets me out of this situation. And it builds a toxicity within him. And then he has that moment of falling from grace, trying to find his place in the world, being truly lost, dying. And, well, you know, and to jump backwards a little bit, the moment where he actually prays and he reaches out. He finally offers his olive branch to God, and he responded. And like you said, Jen, I don't think he was ever meant, right? He wasn't he wasn't destined to be a priest or a pastor or a preacher. He wasn't destined to be that. Not to say that he wasn't destined to share God, to share that, but that wasn't his calling. And he needed, you can't, how does the phrase go? It's like, how do you make God laugh? Tell him your plans. Like, this whole time he's trying to figure out what it is that, what God wants from him and how to achieve that. And I know I'm jumping all over the place right now and not actually talking about my scene, but as far as like that, those moments about it all, it's when I really am all over the place and I feel bad, but I'm going to keep going on this last thought. When he does the fight, he loses and he gets the HBO check, and the banker says, I would say you never have to fight again. And his wife is like, oh, thank God, like he doesn't have to do this. But that's when he has that realization of, no, he did his part. He got us to the situation to where we are set for everything that we needed and everything we wanted. He provided. Now it's our turn to fulfill our side of the deal. Now it's our turn to keep pushing. And what I love about it is it took 2 years. There's no time limit on what you can and should do. There's no deadline of when you have to accomplish what you think you should be accomplishing. And it really is a powerful moment. And for me, being a person who was raised Catholic and has kind of fallen out of religion to a degree, I love that this isn't a religious movie that feels preachy. It shows the positivity of what religion is capable of and what it can do. And I love it for that.
It doesn't Bible thump.
It doesn't.
Yeah.
It doesn't. It doesn't tell you that if you don't believe in God, that if you don't believe in Jesus, you're wrong. But it shows how powerful it can be and how important faith. And that's it. Faith. How important faith is. Go ahead, Nick.
Faith, hope, and love.
I'll just say my quick thing, and then you can talk about your scene. But I just wanted to mention, like, I feel like this movie, like the story of George Foreman, like really is like God's plan for George Foreman. Like his whole life from beginning to end was like all part of God's plan. And because you hear people talk about the term God's plan, like it's in music. Like Drake did a song called God's Plan, and like when I think of George Foreman, I think of God's plan. Like I don't know, like it's just that powerful of a association to me. And like, wow, like everything that George did was like probably part of what God wanted him to do,
Just all of our stories are already written. We just go along for the ride.
Yeah. And I think that is like, Jen, what you're saying, like that it really is the true meaning of what God's plan is. It's already mapped out to the very end. We're doing it live.
Yeah.
Nice.
Go ahead, Matt. Sorry.
Oh no. So like, I mean, to actually address my scene rather than go off on my tangent that I did. What I really liked about it was it was unpredictable. I couldn't tell where it was going. I mean, it's right after a fight. You see him having this moment of like, who's talking, and everybody is like, dude, nobody's talking. What's going on? Like, and you can see that he's sweating, and he says it's hot in here. Why is it so hot? And like, from my perspective, watching it the first time, the whole thing I'm thinking, it was like, oh my God, like this dude's having like a stroke, or like, he got hit in the head. Something medical is happening here. And they can't comprehend what's happening. It's happening so quickly and it's unpredictable. And he dies. And he pops up and they're still, he's like, I need to clean. I need to cleanse myself. I need to wash this off. And of course they're like, no, you put yourself in shock. Like but it was the right thing to do. He hits the water and he's like, yes, I'm clean. And then it cuts to the baptism, but like that whole, him having that ego, him having that mentality of like, it's me versus the world kind of thing. And then finding the answer, finding the relief, being able to let go of all of the rage and anger that has motivated him for 28 years. The only thing that has kept him alive and going is that anger and rage. And for him to have the moment realization that like, I need to let this go. It may have gotten me things that I wanted, but it's not taking me where I need to be. It's not taking me where I should go. And he lets it go. And it leads to that great moment where he's talking with Muhammad Ali and he does the like, I wanted to apologize. Like, I knocked you out. And like that whole why I don't believe this. I don't believe that you've just turned into this guy. Like, that's not who you are. And him proving like, no, this is me. I recognize my faults. I recognize that all of the things that I've done poorly in the past and the things that were not good, and trying to make amends for them and meaning it. I think that was the big thing, is like when he apologizes to his wife, even she sees it was like, he's serious. He really does mean this. It's powerful. It's a powerful and strong connection and transition, I should say. Go ahead, Brian.
The scene that you brought up, I actually wrote down as a scene that jumped out at me. I titled it, I did not know Jesus was lost. and I wrote this scene down because it's just, this is like he literally just came to Jesus moment. And Muhammad Ali is just clowning left and right on him, and he's still trying to be super serious. And then Ali's like, oh, you know what? This guy is actually serious. And I feel like that's probably the moment that signified their friendship that they would have for the rest of their life and everything. But it was just such a fun scene to watch, because he's like, I do not believe it. I said, Beatrice, you must be crazy. If George Foreman's coming in here, he must be looking for another whooping. And then he's like, I found Jesus. I did not know Jesus was lost. He's batting 1,000 on this scene, and it was so entertaining to watch. That's all I had to add.
The difference between a new believer and a veteran. Someone that's been in it for a while.
Well, if anybody knows, correct me if I'm wrong, like the whole thing with Muhammad Ali changing his name was religious. It was religious based of I think he was Islamic? Muslim.
Muslim.
Thank you.
Do not know.
Muslim. So, like that, I think he kind of found his faith and found his religion later in life as well.
Okay.
And that is why he dropped, or part of the reason at least, why he dropped the name Cassius Clay and became Muhammad Ali. He took on this new name, and so the two of them kind of having those religious backgrounds. I mean, you even see it during the fight before it begins. He's in like a meditation or prayer before the fight. So it's, although he's kind of clowning him a little bit with like, I didn't know he was lost. It boils down to the understanding and the respect of like, I hear what you're saying, and I'm with you.
When he called him brother, it was the moment.
Yep, that was it.
Yeah.
In the other thing with that too is right where George Foreman earlier when he wins the gold medal at the Olympics and he comes back home and everybody is like, you didn't rep us. You're waving your flag like this is some great country, but look how they're treating us. And this is with the Black Panther Party, and I believe that's also there was Muslim connections within that organization as well. And like he kind of gets blackballed from the community to a degree. Mm-hmm. And with him calling him, brother, like that moment of like, you're back. You are one of us. Like, for all of the disrespect, for all of the the hate and anger and, disdain that you've received, wash it away. You're one of us. You're safe. Go ahead, Brian.
Well, you had brought us into the ring with Ali, so it's a perfect transition to my scene.
The ring, nice, man.
The 40 hyphen all one. And I found this really interesting. So the name of the movie is Big George Foreman, and he's
with other words.
Yeah, with a lot of extension. We'll do the short version. And aside from, I would say, most people, we are very well known that he was a boxer. Now, I've learned that not everyone knew that George Foreman was a boxer. But what I noticed is there's a lot of fights, like actual fights that are in this movie. And yet I don't see myself writing them down as even thing that I'd even want to, scenes to talk about. Now, however, this one did stand out a little bit, but it didn't stand out because of the boxing. It stood out because of Muhammad's performance in this one. And also just the I guess the dramatization of how they actually did show Big George Foreman finally taking his first loss, which in reality is huge, like huge. But where I find happened a lot in this movie, the energy just wasn't there. It was missing. And I can't figure out what about this one is. And this is where I guess now is a good time to start comparing, any boxing or fighting movie that you've seen, because they normally carry the energy. I mean, every single Rocky movie, again, I find it so hard to even acknowledge that 5 exists. To me, it's like it's in a black box somewhere that no one will ever find again. But when it comes to Rocky 2, 3, 4, and even going into the Creed series, when there's a fight, oh my God, they dial it up. They've got the score going, they've got the camera angles, the moves, the announcers. You feel like you're in the arena with them, and you're basically at ringside. Where this one, I'm just like, it just wasn't, that energy wasn't there. And I don't understand why the disconnect. I don't know why they didn't throw in a lot of oomph when it comes to these fights, but I feel like it's a big missing piece of this puzzle that could have really helped boost this movie a lot. The other thing that I was thinking about when watching this fight, granted, I had never seen the fight in real life, and I don't think any of us have, but if it went down the way it went down, how were people not ahead of Ali, knowing that he's just laying on the ropes to exhaust George Foreman? I called it after round 2. I'm like, he's trying to wear him out. He's just going to gas him out, and then he's going to attack him. And I didn't even know the history about the fights or any of these, because I was very young at this time. You guys weren't even born at this time. But I'm like, how are people not seeing this? So I just had a lot of questions, a lot of breakdowns on this one. Go ahead, Matt.
Well, you brought it up, like the comparisons. This is the fight of Ali. The movie. Like, this is the fight. And I'm pretty sure it's like a 15, 20-minute scene. It is the fight is intense. Everything was leading up to this moment, and it's a great fight.
I mean, it's 8 rounds.
Exactly.
Start with that.
Well, that's the thing too. Like you're saying, is all we got to see was Ollie's on the ropes. Boom, 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 boom. It's like, that's it. Okay, next round. Boom, 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 boom. That's it. Like, and
it's like Wreck-It Ralph.
Exactly. It's boring. It's not exciting, and it's not the fight. And that's like, if you kept this movie as is, you splice in the fight from Ali. That's the exact same fight, just happens to be for Ali rather than for George Foreman. It's much more intense. It's the same fight, same result, and then we cut back to George lost. It tells that fight so much better, and for it to kind of create the rivalry between Foreman and Ali, when he's doing his whole knocking out 5 people in one day kind of thing, and Ollie's on the side egging him on, pissing him off, that kind of thing. It's like there doesn't really feel any kind of justification to that, because the only real shit talking that we saw was Ollie doing his interviews, which is Ollie doing any interview. He's always mocking his opponent. He's always trying to do that. That's how he got the psychological edge. And it worked. It worked constantly. But for this to be such the big fight that it is, as a historical event taking place in Jamaica, I think it was, in how the entire country, I really can't remember.
Zerai or something.
Dominico?
Oh, the Dominican of the
was it the Dominican Republic?
Dominican.
Either way, this was a huge historical fight, and this movie did not do a decent or even okay job of portraying it that way. It didn't. The problem with the fight too, it's just him punching. The reason that it lasted 8 rounds was because those punches were devastating. But meanwhile, we're seeing Ali, who's just like, yeah, this is like a kitten smacking at me. This feels like nothing. Like there wasn't even that impact. The only indication that these punches hurt was the announcer saying, "Oh, there's another good body shot." And like, well, was it? He didn't keel over. He didn't spit. He didn't he had barely any reaction. So I don't know whose hand went up first.
I was thinking
me first. I don't disagree with you, but I do think that because this movie is a biopic and not, like a Rocky or Creed film, I don't think that this movie was about the boxing. It was more so about the life of George Foreman. And I feel like if they had really, added all the details that, we want in a good boxing fight for this film, I think it would take away from the rest of the story. Because yes, I get it that the energy of that scene is low, but it is on par with the whole movie. And I think that they wanted to just really showcase the story more so than it being a boxing film.
My only argument to that, then they should have filmed it differently. Cut out the fights entirely. And in Miracle, during the first bout between the U.S. and the Soviets, the Russians, it was they're getting their ass kicked, and after a few goals, it cuts to like this close up of Jim Craig, the goalie, as the announcer's like, another goal, another. Like you can see, like it's becoming like it's driving him crazy. He's losing it, and it builds the intent and like the intensity without actually showing us the game. Like they need to do something like that still creates what the emotions we need, and it doesn't do that.
Well, so you said this is about the life of George Foreman. Matt, what are you doing?
Responding to Nick. I'm with him.
Oh, okay. Thought he was having a George Foreman moment. Talking to the guys, talking to him.
You don't know my life.
You said that this movie's like the story of George. It's about the life of George Foreman. I mean, he went from boxer, making the heavyweight title champion, and then back to that again. I mean, I guess it kind of goes hand in hand that boxing is his life. So there is no way of avoiding this. I mean, you go professional twice, bottom line. And one of them, you are older than anyone thinks that you should even be standing in a ring, let alone be contending for a heavyweight title. And yet he did. So to say that there shouldn't be boxing it's like, well, there shouldn't be a George Foreman movie then, because you can't just get rid of it. So if you know that boxing is going to be heavily involved, you gotta juice up those scenes. You just have to, or bring up the intensity the way Matt was saying, because I mean, throughout the Rocky series, you've got Rocky versus Apollo Fight 1, Rocky versus Apollo Fight 2. You've got Rocky versus Clubber Lang. You've got, of course, Rocky versus Drago, like the fight of all fights, right? And then going into Creeds, okay? Every single fight in Big George Foreman is not even in the same state as these Rocky. I can't even begin to even get close to even talking about the comparison. But here's where it gets real dicey for me. If I were to compare Rocky versus Thunder Lips, that fight had more intensity and more energy than any of the fights in this movie. And if you need remembering, Thunder Lips is Hulk Hogan, where it was an exhibition match with him. And that fight had more energy and more excitement and more get involved than any of the fights in this one. And I'm like, what are we doing? Like, you can't give me a worse fight than Rocky versus Thunder Lips as an exhibition. That to me was like, this movie, the boxing really, really took down the star rating for me. I think this movie had a ton of potential. If like anyone behind any of the Rocky movies, or even we did Warrior, and Warrior's UFC, but you can't tell me those weren't entertaining fights to watch. If you had that type of intensity and that type of moment, or $1 Million like anyone that's behind some of these fighting movies had some juice and when was helping them in this one, I think we could have been talking easily a 4.5 star movie. But the fact that I just feel they really dropped the ball on the boxing matches. I mean, to be honest, I think one of the most entertaining boxing matches that I saw in this movie was the actual live version that they did, like the zoom in. I forgot who. Oh, it was against damn it, what's his name?
Joe Frazier?
No,
his first comeback fight.
Yes, the first that he lost to. He lost by a unanimous decision. It wasn't by knockout.
Holder. Holy something.
Evander Holyfield?
Yeah, wasn't that it? Evander Holyfield?
Could be. I don't remember.
I think that's the one where they actually just do, the camera goes a zoom in on the TV. And I'm like, that's not Davis. That's actual. You could tell that was an actual George Foreman HBO fight. Like, that's the real footage. And I'm like, this has better energy than anything you've given me. And I'm like, that's just sad, because all you're doing is filming what's been filmed. So I don't know. That's my 2 cents on it. Like I said, I could be doing really like serious comparison, but I just don't feel that this movie's even in the playing field for it. It doesn't deserve it. I don't need to drag any of the Rocky stuff more than I have involved in this, because it does not come close to the Philadelphia steps.
Go ahead, Jen.
Just a thought is, do you think that they kind of minimize the fighting just to be able to keep more of a broader audience? Like, everyone could watch this, and it's not so much where you're fighting and like you could like physically feel that pain, and it makes it hard to stay, because like this is an important message. It's not just any movie.
I mean, it's possible, because this was produced by George Foreman, right? So it's plausible that maybe he's like, hey, let's obviously the fights are important, they need to exist, but that's not the point. That's not what we're wanting to highlight. Fighting was the pathway, not the way. But I don't know. For me, it still boils down to, if you're gonna have fighting, it needs to be entertaining. It's you have the benefit of the fact that these fights were televised.
Yeah.
So you don't have to choreograph these fights. All you really need to do is find the segments that you want, and you have 365 degrees of angles to choose from.
Yeah.
I don't know why I said 365. It was just rounded. I don't know. 360 degrees. An extra 5 degrees just because like you can go that
whole year.
Yeah. Lost it. But yeah, it's you have to take advantage of what you have. And even if it's small moments, even if you're just gonna have like, here's the last round, here's the last 5 punches, those last 5 punches need to feel like the last 5 punches of a fight. Yeah. And they for lack of a better phrase, they don't have that punch. Go ahead, Jen.
Yeah, I can agree that in the training, his punches were freaking punches, and you really don't get those punches when he's in the ring. It's so maybe the character held back his acting, because like do we know if those were legit punches? Because if so, holy crap.
They're probably not. I feel like maybe the gloves are just like fluffy. So when they make face, like it does the motion and like the skin ripple and like the spit and all that, but it doesn't actually, it's not like a physical, like hard.
No, when he's hitting the bag in training.
I was wondering if he actually punched the punching bag off the ceiling.
That's crazy.
I don't think so. Like, they must have had some sort of like a pulley system that like as soon as he hits it, there's a machine that like helps it ramp up or something.
I don't know, because that bag went flying, and
that was like Hulk smash, like Hulk, you know.
I've punched a punching bag and they don't give. There's no give. No, and that thing just went. I was like, I don't know if that's real or not.
That's crazy.
Well, like he was getting angry in that moment.
Here's a bad example, but a good example. Captain America. When we first see him in the freaking Marvel movies, it's Chris Evans, right? Like this is a dude he's solid, he's strong, but he's punching that bag, bam, 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 and then bam, he knocks that thing off the chains too, and blows a hole in it. He's hitting it so hard. Like, that's a dude who is not George Foreman size that's doing these things. And to me, what I didn't like about it was it didn't look realistic. Like he's walking by this punching bag and he just kind of like angrily, bah. Yeah. It didn't feel like a real punch. And then like you said, the bag goes flying. I'm like, I believe he can hit that hard, but I don't believe he just did. And like that's where a lot of this disconnect comes of like, sometimes the punches don't look real. They don't look efficient. They don't look effective. And that's why I ultimately don't like what they did with the Ali fight, because it's just him. We see him doing the punching bag punch over and over again, where he's just like he's taking these hooks. That's it. He's hooking. Right. Getting bashed in the crab. And then that's all of what the Ali fight was. It's just him. It looked harder hitting the punching bag. When you said that, like it looked harder hitting the bag than it does him hitting a human being. Yeah. Like there should be anything to it. Like it doesn't, his punches in the ring don't feel that to have that big George Foreman strength that the announcer is telling me they have. And you can't rely on somebody's dialogue for me to see aggression, to see strength. Dialogue can describe it, but I need to see it. Yeah.
I still don't see how they didn't see Ali's strategy. It baffles me.
Maybe that was a new technique that hadn't been done.
It hadn't. It's the rope-a-dope, right? Like that's where it was. That's when it was named. And that's why I think like if you watch Ali and you watch this fight, it's the same fight. He still wins the same way of getting him to tire himself out, but he's not just like the ropes. Okay, boom, 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 boom. No, Ali's throwing punches back. He's moving. He's getting out of the way because he's still taking those punches and they hurt like hell. Yeah, like By the time he starts throwing punches in this movie, he's at 110%. Dude he hasn't even broken a sweat. He doesn't feel a damn thing. And it's how many rounds in? Bullshit.
Yeah.
It doesn't look interesting. Like you said, as an audience member watching this, it's like, how do you not realize that he's just tiring you out? He even tells you in dialogue, I'm going to the ropes, come and get me. I'm coming back to the ropes, come and get me. Like, he's telling you the strategy. Why are you biting? Why? Like, it doesn't make sense in this
movie. On, George. I heard you were bad, George.
Yeah.
He was taunting.
But it doesn't make sense. That fight does not work in this.
George fought with an ego. Mm-hmm. So it does make sense. And Ali knew that. And so he talked to his ego. And that's what happened.
I'm gonna strictly for this fight, the Foreman Ali fight. I'm gonna push you guys seeing Ali, even if that's the only part you watch is that fight.
Oh no, it's on the list for sure.
Man, yeah.
Where are we break wise? Or
I was gonna say, if we wanted to take a break, now's not a bad time. So,
well, did Nick talk about his scene?
We got so
not.
No, yeah, we still have
one. Place, but
it'll be quick. I'm sure it won't last long. But what I call it? He took my shoes.
He took my shoes. Yeah.
Oh yeah, that's right. Okay.
Yeah, this is definitely not heavy at all. Like, but we're talking. But for some reason, I was thinking of my scene. It was just the one that kept popping in my head. I just thought it was really entertaining. It was. You see Foreman, open up the package. I think it was his mom.
Yeah.
That's it, right. And you see these fresh pair of Chuck Taylors, and I'm like,
low tops.
Love me a pair of Converse Chuck Taylors.
Those are my running shoes.
But and then to see, like, in the chow hall when he sees the guy like walking in with the shoes on, he just like gives him the stare, and the dude, the suspect, like just looks at him, and he immediately knows why, and he just fucking darts it out of there. And so you got a really cool like chase sequence going on, but the best part is is Foreman like holding him out of the window and just like really trying to drill it in him of like what he did was so wrong. Yeah, I just really like that scene. It was entertaining. Go ahead, Brian.
No, I definitely agree. It was a very entertaining scene. I love when he just runs. I don't know what it is. Why is it that when someone's chasing someone and they get the door slammed on them, they the first move is to knock? They're just gonna, oh well, come on in. Now that we're not chasing each other, right? But then he realizes the knock doesn't work, so he just punches the door just completely out off the, like a giant hole through the door. That was entertaining. I can't figure out what caused the thief to even be dumb enough to just wear the shoes. Like, you're in a confined area, buddy. Like, this is, you don't have to be a crazy detective to figure this one out.
Yeah, they're like a specific. I think they were like red, like a pastel red color.
No, they were white.
Are they white?
Yeah, they had like a red streak. They almost look like Reebok-ish.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm just like, dude, you stole the shoes and you're just gonna prance around them in Chow Hall, like.
Like the
you
one,
might as well just hold the billboard
spot.
saying, "Hey George, I did it."
Yeah.
But yeah, no, so that was entertaining. And then what I also love is like the final, like the aftermath joke. It's when him and Doc are in the car, and Doc's looking over his file, and he says, in the time that you've been here, you've had 3 altercations with so and so and 1 innocent door.
Yeah.
Forgot about that.
Oh man, so yeah, so it was just a really good tie together everything. But yeah,
But he also says like breaking that door was like a federal crime or something, right?
Right.
It's a fucking door.
It was
Government
federal
property.
property, so it's damaging. It's you damage government property.
Yeah.
Which is an interesting thing, just like that I was so iffy about this thing that he signed up for. I mean, they're putting them in uniforms. They've got badges and stuff. I'm like, did this dude just enlist himself in some sort of like Army Reserve type of thing? Like, did he just put himself into a government like entity and now he's going to be sent?
I was wondering, like, did anyone do research on Job Corps? Because I didn't. And I was like, was this even a real thing? It also said Pleasanton, California. Did anyone notice that didn't really look like Pleasanton, California at all? It almost looked like Oregon. But I'm like, how? Like, I live very close to Pleasanton, California, and there's a lot of hills and not a lot of like open grass, like lakes in the background. I can tell you that.
Well, that was back in the day, though.
It was back in the day, but this is also
the hills grow. You know that, right?
I've never heard of Job Corps in my life. So
it's Job Corps, not corpse.
Is it core? Is it core? I thought it was corpse.
No, you don't pronounce the P or the S.
Corpse.
Well, like for corporations.
To be fair, he does say Job Corps when he's talking to his mom.
Oh, there. Okay. See,
he says that, but it is Job Corps.
Yeah.
When they're doing the announcement on the TV, they even call it Job Corps.
Got it.
This is why our language is stupid sometimes.
English is dumb.
Yeah. So, like I said, I'd never heard of that, but I'm like, oh, this is interesting. This is basically like a blue collar school.
Well, the way that I looked at it was, I mean, it was a trade school essentially. Like
exactly, like Jack, become college. A jack of all trades.
What was like community college without community college?
Mm-hmm.
Well, we will teach you a skill, multiple skills, and you will be able to have a trade job. And I mean, that's something that still applies today, right? I mean, plumbing, mechanics, electrician, these are all things that we still need.
Mm-hmm.
And I, weirdly enough, because I didn't know the history of the Foreman grill, I always assumed like he designed it, he built it. So when he's at the Job Corps and he's tinkering around with like the electronics and stuff and shocks himself, I kind of assumed that it's like, oh, that's where he got his background and figured out, he learned he learned how to do build electronics and all that stuff, and he built a grill and sold it. Come to find out, based off of this movie, at least, he's like, no, they just wanted me to be the spokesperson.
Yeah.
They named it after me, and there you go.
I thought he invented it.
I thought he did too.
Yeah.
Maybe this movie lied to us. Who knows? George, if you're out there, tell us the truth.
If you're listening.
But first, like and subscribe.
Yeah, first like and subscribe, and then tell us, did you build it? Did you?
And then give us a skinny on your Foreman grill.
Yeah.
And then tell all 5 of your George kids to subscribe so that when they comment, they're all George, and we can't tell
Georgette. Please like and subscribe. And all the others as well that weren't named after George.
All right.
Are we ready for
some kitties to feed?
Yeah. All right. Let's take another 5-10 minute break, and we'll be right back. Welcome back to GoodFlickas, everyone.
Everything all right?
Yes, I did confirm that it was a match. It was a match that was struck and then waved out. So my house is not burning down. I am safe. We are all safe. It's all good. But that was concerning for a minute there. Welcome back to GoodFlickas, where we are still talking about Big George Foreman. We just finished up talking about Nick's scene, and we've just been jumping all over the place. When I say we, I mean me. So I'm going to hand it off to you guys. What have we got? Go ahead, Brian.
I'll start us off with a scene.
Yeah.
I titled it Jackie Brown Eyes.
Okay.
Jackie Brown.
Okay.
If you know Quentin Tarantino movie, you probably know where I'm going with this one.
Okay, this is like the one Tarantino movie I haven't seen, but I think I know who you're talking about.
So it's basically the introduction to Paula.
Mm-hmm.
First of all, this is when I'm like, all right, movie, we finally have some juice. Thank you. The way that they shoot this it's so good, where you've got like Paula is just standing and her head's down, but I mean her afro and like the girl's hair was just dialed, right? But they've got him like they got it where George is like walking, they've got this wide shot, and then you just see Paula just standing there. I'm like, all right, this is really nice intro to a character. And then I mentioned her name before, but it was like Shine.
It's Shine.
Shine Mom Premiere.
Mom Premiere.
Mom Premiere.
Or God, because I'm curious as to where she's from, because that would change whatever accent that has.
Anyway, but so I'm gonna just call her Shine. And that's exactly what she does. Is she shines in this scene. I mean, it is just like, who are you? Can we hang out with you more? The way that you handle George, I mean, she straight up says, George, your foot game is a lot better than your pickup game. And I'm like, yes, I want to be with you for a while. You seem like a really fun chick and seem like someone who knows what's going on. But it's just a very interesting character and a really great way to introduce her. Just to introduce the character, and then her exit is just like, do I look like a girl that stands by the phone and waits by the phone, George? And he's speechless. He's actually speechless. And then she walks away and he's like, no, you do not, ma'am. And I'm like, yes, it's a perfect 3 minutes or 4 or however long the scene was.
It's a great meet cute.
Yeah.
Scene.
Yeah,
it is.
One. Yeah.
Well, not like her line too of like, tell me something about you. I could type 100 words a minute. I can't even talk that fast.
Yeah.
She commanded that screen.
Oh, she did.
God, and she controlled George too. Like, damn.
And the hair. Oh, can we talk about the hair?
Just the look in general.
Everything about her was just
show-stopping.
Show-stopping. I think every one of us was George in that moment of like, whoa. Excuse me, ma'am. Can I blah, 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 blah.
Yeah.
she just damn.
Excuse me, ma'am. My name's Gunn. Can I have Brian?
Yeah. Seriously.
Well, wasn't she reading a magazine with like him on the front cover?
Yes.
Yeah.
I wonder if that's what like
the way to have the upper edge on that one, George.
I wonder if that magazine, like, and then seeing him was what was like mostly attractive to her. Because I wonder if he was a nobody, if she would have acted the same way.
I don't think it mattered to her at all.
I don't think you could. Her reaction was far out.
Yeah, I don't think
or right on or something like that. Yeah.
That didn't matter to her at all.
No,
like, I think she handled from like the start of it was like, I'm not gonna just fall for you. I'm not just gonna be some like, oh, he's this heavyweight champ. He's this guy. No, you got to impress me.
Yeah. It's like, you are out of your league, buddy.
Oh my God. Seriously though. And I think point proven later on when he fucks it up.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. You were out of your league.
Okay. Thank you for bringing this up. Dumb. Yeah. Just dumb. Like, what are you doing?
Right?
But here's a question that I had for you guys. At first I wrote it down as my head scratcher was, Paula doesn't go to the heavyweight title match.
Yes,
I questioned that, right? But then as the movie progresses, I realized none of his wives go to his fights. Whether it was Paula or I forgot the other the other one's name.
Give me a second, I can pull it up. But I
one
mean,
with the
at
accent.
one point
But
they were.
I realized no one's going to his fights. They're watching it at home, and I'm like, how come? Why isn't anyone going to your fight? It
She
just
was
made me
at his fights.
what?
So Mary Joan, his second wife, she did not go to, I think, any of his fights. I don't think we ever see her at any of them. But when he was dating Paula, she's in the crowd. We see her.
She went to the crowd after typing like, I want to see George moves like 100 times or whatever. And then she's in the crowd. Yes, but I mean, we're talking about, this is his first shot at the heavyweight title belt, and she's not there. I just couldn't. I was baffled by this. I'm like, how are you not there for what would be at that point the biggest fight of his life? And then obviously, you know, we know what happens. He's tempted with other females and caves in. But it just kind of makes you wonder, had she had been there, if the temptation would have just disappeared at that point. But still, I'm not trying to give him an excuse for cheating. I'm just curious how his wife at that time isn't there for in person for the biggest fight of his life. It's not like he couldn't afford it.
Maybe they had little ones.
He did have a daughter.
I don't know.
I mean, like, we know in the beginning, like, how his mom highly disapproves of him, you know, doing the boxing thing. Like, and there's even scenes where, you know, George's family is watching him on TV, and you see like the mom in the bedroom folding her laundry. Like, she's not, like, she can't watch it. Mm-hmm. I wonder if you know, for women, or at least like, you know, the women in his life, they can't watch him because it hurts too much, right? Like, for the siblings, it's probably different because they have a different relationship with George than, you know, his mom and his wives have with him. That's my guess. Maybe why his wives don't show up for fights.
Well, I wonder about this. And up until that point, he is fighting with rage. He is fighting with anger. Like, that's, if you're a significant other and you see your person is in that arena and they're reaching that level of like ferocity, that's scary. Not only, I mean, yes, you have the natural fear of, you know, your person is being punched in the face over and over again, is bloodied and beaten up, bruised, and like that's in pain. That's hard enough. But to see your person become someone else, to become this beast that, you know, they're telling him, you know, that he has to unleash in order to do these things, like, I feel like that would be a good enough reason to be like, I don't want to watch you fight, because you become a different person. You become something else. And I don't want to be a part of that.
Yeah.
It's a theory.
Mm-hmm.
It's a theory.
Yeah.
Dumb move for cheating on Paula.
Yep.
100%.
Let's just say dumb.
Really,
move.
really, really
right
lucky for ending up with his final wife, though.
Yeah. For the movie.
Well, the second one, because apparently in real life there was like two more.
I think there was like 4 wives, but the last one that he ended up with, you know, if you're going against how the movie is,
yeah,
he got lucky.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, well, and she, Matt, did you find out what her name was? The second wife's name?
Mary Joan.
Mary Jo.
Mary Joan.
Joan.
Actually, here's something of note. I'm looking at Wikipedia. I don't even see Paula as a wife.
Oh.
So
awkward.
Yeah. They got married. Like, there was that scene. You know, we saw the wedding.
Well, maybe they changed her name. Like, maybe she didn't want her, like, they couldn't get the rights, or like she wouldn't give away her story, so they had to change her name.
Mm.
But his first wife was
scene we saw the wedding.
What about the wedding?
Nick was like, I mean, there was that scene. We saw the wedding, so he definitely married Paula.
Yeah.
I don't know what's so funny about that.
We were.
As I'm saying that there is no Paula that he's been married to, and
Oh, because you're going off of your facts are going off of a scene of a movie. That's the funny part. It's like going into court and be like, listen, I saw on Home Alone that
If you throw a brick at someone, it's fine.
it's okay. They don't get hurt. They get a little red mark on their forehead, and it is okay.
It's all good. I didn't know I was going to kill him.
It's really real.
Yeah, I actually do have a theory. I think Paula could be one of two things. One, they couldn't get the like the original, his original wives would not give their story away,
written consent to be.
So they couldn't use their names, and they all became Paula, or it's just that she became Paula,
right?
Or they all became Paula, so that it's just we've got one wife, we got the first wife and the last wife, because Mary Joan is his last and current wife. So that would be my guess, is to either shorten the story so we don't need to talk about him getting married, remarried, and all of that stuff, and to protect them. So it's not clear exactly who Paula is, whether that's first wife or not. It's first wife to us. Maybe it's one of the others.
Yeah. Good theory. I'll bite.
Want to talk about the wedding?
No.
No? Okay.
Did you?
No. Nick seemed to enjoy it, though.
I bet.
I do want to talk about his mom.
What happened in the movie.
I have a few more. Yeah, I'm looking at my notes. I still have a few things left.
Oh, I want to like highlight his mother. I love his mother from start to finish, and what was the actress that played her, because she was phenomenal.
At first take, I thought I know I'm wrong on it, but within like the first couple minutes, I was like, is that Angela Bassett? And I thought they just kind of did a few things to change, but it wasn't, obviously.
No, I believe it's the actress's name is Sonia Son, which maybe I don't know, but she was phenomenal. Like she was just a great mother, right? She's a single mother raising 4 kids. She's busting her ass to provide for them and to give them guidance like that. That's probably like the most impressive thing about her, was with everything that was going on, her faith maintained, right? Like that was the thing. It was like she stayed strong, and she also was like no bullshit with George. Like it when he got to the point where he's like, I want to go to the Job Corps, and she's like, if you're gonna do it, you got to do it right. Don't you come back here saying you miss me, or like, no, you're gonna do this, you got to do it. Like I love that about her, that she was straight with them, she was honest with them, but like a loving mother, always welcomed him back with open arms, always tried to show him the way. Go ahead, Nick.
But yeah, just to kind of continue that thought, what I really like about a scene that she was in, it's when you see them all at George's house. Like, he's made it, right? He has the house, like they're all dressing like in fancy clothes and nice cars and everything. And it's the scene where they're having dinner on that pool, like by the pool outside in the backyard. And his mom is still like, all right, let's pray. You know, like she still keeps her faith. Like no, and she never let the free house and like the fancy sunglasses and the nice clothes and all of that get to her. And like she's she stays humble. But But in that same scene, like you see George flip around, right? Like he's like, I provided this food, you know? And like that's when, Matt, you were kind of saying earlier that the toxicity kind of starts to come into play because he lets the fame and fortune you know, make him less humble of a person. And so yeah, props to the mom. You know, no matter what situation she's in, she always has her faith with her and always like does right by her children. So go ahead, Brian.
I mean, just to add to it, you can tell that obviously we saw from what was portrayed how good of a mother she is, but if what happened in the movie is true, the first thing that Foreman says after winning the heavyweight title is what?
You buy his mama a house.
I'm going to buy mama a big house. If you're not a good mama, you're not. That's not happening to you unless you're a good mama. Plain and simple.
Yeah.
But he was so eager, so excited to say he's going to buy his mom her own home, and it's just like, yeah, I would too. That is a damn good mother that you have, and I'm glad that you recognize it.
Yeah.
Gotta take care of mama.
Gotta take care of mama.
Do they ever talk about the dad? Like his dad at all? Is he ever mentioned?
No.
Mm-mm.
I was just kind of curious about that.
But. Yeah.
Daddy don't matter. It's all about mama.
Yeah. His mom is his mom and his dad.
I got a quick scene to discuss. I've called it Mummy Muhammad.
He's gonna rap him.
Yeah. This was just once again. It was Simone. Was that was his name, right?
Sullivan or something.
Sullivan, yeah. This is Sullivan just cooking hard on the scene. I was like, God, just let him go. But when he was doing the interview with the people and he was starting to make fun of George Foreman and how he fights, and he's like, yeah, he's just he's like a mummy in the ring. He's like, come here, I'm gonna get you. Just all of it. I was like, God, this guy is just he was just a really funny Ollie to me. I thought he did a great job, and it's a quick scene, but it was one that was pretty entertaining. Go ahead, Matt.
The end of it, I think, is possibly his best quip. I was like, oh, George, your turn. Just stares him down, gives him that death stare. Is like, well, if he boxes as good as he does interviews, it's going to be a short fight.
Yeah.
Like, just like how he does such a great job of being Ali, of like that charismatic, quippy, like always got something to say. Like it always has a response.
Mm-hmm.
And dude was just in control. He could maintain control.
Yep.
And that was a great scene of getting to watch that. And I agree. It was fun doing he's like a mummy out there. Like all that. Like it was good.
Oh, where'd you go?
Well, he kept it. He kept it all going because
he did.
Well, the next time
like, sorry,
jacket.
George,
pull my jacket. Like this,
we were talking about another fighter.
Dude's gonna stop you. This little white dude's gonna stop you from fighting George. Like, come on, hold me back. Hold me back. Like, come on. God, he was so good at getting a rise, and I did love him for that. Like as Ali in this movie, he was fun. He was just good. I wanted more scenes with him.
Yeah. I also love when George shows up and he's like, sorry, George, we were just talking about another fighter.
Yeah.
And then in the mix of all that, he still gets the line, we gonna get it on because we don't get along. I'm like, oh my dude, Muhammad, you are just ripping them right now.
Good. He good.
Yeah.
And to go back to like the pool scene where Foreman does his like apology and everything, the moment we see Ali on screen, he's that persona. He is that guy, and he keeps it throughout the conversation until it gets to the point where he's like, I don't need to put this up anymore. I'm not competing with this guy. He's given up. he's done, and that's fine. Like it's now it's not. It's like he can be like it's not personal. That's that. I think that's what it boiled down to. Is like for Ali, it was always a psychological game, and as long as Foreman remained a possible competitor, every interaction had to remain a mind game.
Right.
And finally was over, and he's like, it's done. It's like cool. Drops the veil, and now he can just be a normal dude. He doesn't have to get in his head. He doesn't have to try and build this rage and get him to mess up or make a mistake. Like, so good. I don't have any.
I'm just looking over my notes right now.
I don't have any notes.
No notes.
Okay, here's a head scratcher for you guys.
Okay.
Is it?
I don't even know if we're going to be able to answer it. What do you think happened to Des?
Who?
Ultimately?
On a binger.
Des, the money guy.
Oh, that guy. Wow, I forgot about him.
Because obviously George rises back to the top. Actually, he probably rises better than he was before.
Mhm.
And I'm just curious what happened to his buddy there.
Probably drugs.
Buddy.
No, I would guess that guy dies of liver disease, or I mean, he drinks himself into oblivion. That's what happens.
I would think, because you notice there was no update on Des at the end.
After that mess up, he's out of Foreman's life. I thought it was crazy that as a preacher, he choked that dude to the like almost death. He was that close. He was that close.
Yeah.
I mean, Des really screwed him over, though.
Bad.
And I was trying to think, what year did this all come crumbling down on them? Was it like 86, right?
Something like that.
So American history, you guys know what's just three years around the corner, right?
In 89?
Yeah.
No, my brother was born.
What happened?
It would be the crash.
Oh, the stock market crash.
Mm-hmm. So it's like, if you have already screwed up, like, I can't imagine what you would have done if it was 3 years later, because that just everything would have been gone at that point. Because the stock market crash is 89. It's 89, right?
I know the 80s were a rough.
Now
decade.
I'm fighting with myself if it's 87 or 89. No, I'm pretty sure it's 89. So I just thought that was really interesting as well. But I just feel bad for George. It's like, man, you gave all of your eggs in I guess with one basket per se. Like you trusted one guy to handle all of your funds just because he was decent at discovering brownies are cheaper than beans. That's quite the Hail Mary.
He put all of his golden eggs in one basket.
Yeah, big time.
So with like Des, like I don't think his intentions were ever to screw him over. I think he tried. I think he really tried. But I think where this big mistake was, he didn't say something sooner. He tried. I think he tried to fix it. He tried to like, okay, I made a mistake. Okay, that's one mistake. I can fix this. Okay, I made another bad investment. Like this is bad, but like, okay, we're getting. And then he kept trying to dig himself out of that hole. And then it got to the point where he's just so deep. He's like, I can't tell him. And
I think he got greedy too. He's going with aggressive stocks. And most likely because he's like, well, Foreman's in the ring. He's making all this money. He's got this endorsements coming. It's like, I guess it's easy to gamble money when you know money is going to be coming right. New money is coming right around the corner, right? So you're like, all right, I'll throw this in some aggressive stocks. And if we win big. And if we lose, whatever, I've got this next endorsement deal coming. Well, eventually that stopped when he became a preacher. And then I think he just at that point he might have just been in too deep, and he's like, well, I just gotta hope for the best. There's a lot of unknown information here, which quite frankly, this is where, going back to my intro, it would have been really cool to see this in a TV series or something, because I would have loved to see what the downturn on Des was, like where he went wrong, the choices he made, et cetera, et cetera. Go ahead, John.
I mean, I think it comes down to is Foreman hired an addict to take care of his books.
Nice.
He was an alcoholic, and the addiction behavior goes anywhere. So he was also a gambling addict.
Do you think he turned alcoholic like when one of the first investments went bad, and then that's when because he threw alcohol away at the beginning? He's like, I'm clean. I'll be with you.
I think that was maybe just putting on a show.
Okay.
For Foreman. I mean, I think he was probably doing stuff behind Foreman's back well before it became detrimental. And the truth comes out.
Matt, do you want to go? Because you sound like you have a quick response.
I thank you. I think that he did. I think he quit. I do think that he quit. But when he started, like the mistakes started happening and things got worse, I think that's when he picked it back up and just. So I think he was committed. I think when he tossed the drink, he meant it. Because it was like, oh, you got your faith in me, and then I've got your back. Like, because they had that.
That's what I thought too.
But I think once he started making the mistakes and he couldn't get out of it, that's when he fell back into alcohol, and it didn't stop.
Spiral.
Yeah.
Down the drain we go.
Well, and I also think too that you have to remember who Des was as a character in the very beginning. He was a goof off. Like he was the class clown who like didn't really care, about structure, and was kind of, just messing around all the time. And I think that like, even though he and George became good friends, like that's still his core personality. Like that's just the type of person he is. He's not like, he doesn't cross his T's and dots his I's. And so it's like, it's not surprising to me that, he ends up the way he does, because that's just how he was. Yeah. Go ahead, Jen.
So I think how I understood the whole brownie scenario was that he lied about the numbers in order to get the beats out and brownies in. Like he's like, oh, I just, did my numbers, and was like, and then, so you're welcome. Like these brownies are because of me. And that's how I looked at it. So I looked at him as a liar already. And then your question is like, oh, was it when things went bad? I think they both probably turned to bad ways, like with George with women. And I think just that lifestyle got to them both. And that's why I don't think it took like a hard hit in stocks for him to start drinking again. I think he just kind of went along with the party. He's a bad, bad man.
There we go. Well, so it's Jen saying it now. Matt, she's stealing your thunder. Might have to rename the Twitter of the clips of Bad Bad Man to Jen saying Bad Bad Man, not Matt saying Bad Bad Man.
As long as somebody says it, we're good.
Yeah. It's almost 9. I'm having a hard time staying awake, so I'm gonna do my final thoughts and log out. Final thoughts. It's a good movie. It could be better. I really enjoy learning about a real person though, like as a biopic instead of just like as a documentary. As much as I like documentaries, I think biopics are still good. But what wins the movie for me? I think maybe like the the rags to riches kind of concept. You know, like starting from the bottom and then really achieving something like really great. Just that whole mentality and lifestyle. It sends a really good positive message. So I guess I'll say George Foreman. You know, he wins the movie for me. Like the actual person, not like the actor that plays him, but just George Foreman himself. Yeah, he wins it. So, do you guys want to know the next Nick pick?
Yeah, we will be discussing 2 weeks from now potentially.
Yeah, at least 2 weeks, if maybe 3, Matt, depending on your situation. But yeah. So I know we took a month off, but we're back. We're going to be watching True Lies on Hulu.
A month off. Great. We're right back to Arnold Schwarzenegger.
Yep.
I am so curious as to when you're going to run out.
Yes, seriously.
I mean, we're going to eventually run out.
At a certain point, I mean, like there's not going to be any more available.
Oh man, I haven't seen this one in a while.
I don't think I've ever seen it.
This is the one with Jamie Lee Curtis, right?
Oh
yes,
yeah.
This
It's
is
the scene.
an awful one to talk about. It's going to be terrible.
It's the scene.
It's the scene. Yeah.
Yeah.
Sweet.
Yeah. True Lies on Hulu.
True Lies on Hulu. All right, man. Well, I feel you on the sleepiness. I am certainly fading myself, but you have a good night. Looking forward to talking about True Lies with you.
Yeah, I'll see you guys when I'm back from Spain too. So I'll be a whole new
have fun
person.
in Spain, man.
Yeah. Get a tan.
Be safe.
Yeah, I'm right by the beaches in Barcelona. So
nice.
Barcelona.
Yeah.
Barcelona.
All right. Have a good night, guys. I'll see you.
See you, Nick.
Thank God he's gone. He's gonna pull that shit when we start recording. Like I said, I don't have any notes. I don't really have any scenes or anything to dig into. I
have a couple more, but I don't want to be stealing it. I mean, Jen, do you have any? No? Okay, cool. Great, guys. Always put the pressure on me.
There's no pressure when you're prepared.
What?
I would have been more prepared, but I had terrible flight status and it wasn't great. I couldn't write any notes.
All right, let's see.
Thank you for watching that.
Thank you for picking it. I enjoyed this movie. It's nice when a new movie is enjoyed.
I feel like we already talked about my nitpicks for the most part. We don't need to hash that open again. Okay, here we go. It's a scene, kind of more of a montage, and you guys know how I do love my montage. This one is Whip Into Shape.
Yeah.
I just thought it was entertaining. It was like, yeah, I'm struggling to find the words. It was like Rocky preschool. but it still worked. You know, it's like he's basically, the goal is to go from 315 to I think 265. And just seeing what he's doing, seeing some of the funny things that he's doing. Mad shout out to Mary. It's like the pancake breakfast, and he's ready for pancakes, and then she just drops the oatmeal, and then all of a sudden he's like on the treadmill, just like basically walking down the coast of California as he's watching them talk about him on TV. And she goes in like she's leaning in hard, like she's like, come on baby, give me that kiss. And she goes it's like, you beast. Just absolutely controlling George. And it was great stuff. It really was.
Yeah, there were a couple of moments within this that I really loved, especially with like the payoff at the end, like at the credits. So one, I love the first time that he's running down the road and he's got to catch his breath and the neighbor's talking to him. And I mean, like it's positive, but at the same time, you know, like he just probably assumes that he's just out trying to get in shape. Like that's it. Just an old guy trying to get into shape. It leads to him throwing up. He's like, oh, that's nasty. You know, like it's
that's nasty.
You're gonna give yourself a heart attack, George. That's nasty, George.
Yeah. I thought that was hilarious.
So what do you sorry, I just come up with this on the fly here. He actually wins the heavyweight title now.
Yeah.
What are the neighbors' thoughts around that? Like they've actually probably seen him training and they're like, how the hell did that take you to there? Like just curiosity, you know, talking point.
I mean, if I was a neighbor and if I was that neighbor, I saw him starting point running down the street and the
puking,
heavy setup and vomiting. I'm like, and then heavyweight champion, what, like 3 years later? I'm bragging to everybody. I'm telling people, I'm like, oh yeah, he's on his jogging routes right down my street. I give him tips all the time. So even sometimes I'll jog with him, and you know.
Yeah.
Like, oh, I'm telling everybody. I'm like,
I strategically timed my time to mow my lawn just so I got a glimpse of him.
Well, me and George worked out a deal that when he runs by my house, I got a cup of water for him, and I shout motivational phrases to him as he heads down.
My wife makes a mean glass of lemonade. George knows.
Of course, his wife got a hold of me, so now he's just eating raw eggs.
Oh man, no, that'd be so crazy. That'd be so crazy.
Yeah.
Well, think about freaking Rocky, right? Like, dude's I mean, 100%. Somewhat same status as far as champion, right? And he's freaking running through the streets. He's running up the stairs. People are running with him. Like,
yes,
he's the people's champion. So I don't know. It's I'd be bragging. I'd be telling people. I'd be telling everybody, like, I know George Foreman. I helped him train. That's the thing. Like, I would absolutely bullshit and say that
you've gone jogging one time.
Yeah, seriously.
Yeah, I did that one time just to say that I did and be like,
I helped him train. He made it because
he joins me on my jogging route.
And to this day, though, they're just still like, hasn't been a scene in a boxing movie better than when Rocky is running and everyone starts running behind him and he just goes and sprints up the stair. God, that scene is just unassailable. It is. Wow. It gives me chills thinking about it, let alone when I'm watching it.
Yeah.
I mean, damn it. We brought up Rocky again. I think that's the other thing that Big George Foreman is missing. When I watch Rocky movies, I am so motivated. It is like, I feel like I can accomplish the world every time I'm done watching a Rocky movie. And I did not get that feeling of motivation, which is really weird because everything that he triumphed over, I just didn't feel that get out there and grind and go get after it. And I'm like, this guy went from rags to riches again, like 2 times. And how am I not motivated? It's a very strange concept. And I think that's another thing that it was missing was just that motivation factor. Nothing.
No, I'm with you. We've talked about that too, with like how with the fights and everything. It doesn't really hype you up. It doesn't get that energy flow. But I did like that with, any like the Rocky montages and with this one as well. You see him carrying a freaking cow, and our actual actor friend is carrying this damn cow.
Yeah.
That being said, there could be some things going on to that's like taking a little bit of that weight off him, or he could just be carrying it. Who knows? I'm not going to take that away from him.
I think he's carrying the cow.
I think he is too. But I love that was a callback to an actual moment or an actual training thing with George.
Mm-hmm.
And My favorite was the very end when he's hit his moment, like he's hit his weight, and Doc shows up and he's in that outfit with that red cap and everything. Because that was probably the only moment of like a George Foreman outfit that I was like, oh shit, I know that look. And you get the picture of him where, you know, got the cut off sleeves and he's got the red cap on. Like that is like the iconic George Foreman look, if I were to say anything.
Yep.
And it's one freaking thing in his life of that thing. So I love those little callbacks that they did within this montage.
No, it was great. It was like I said, it was a really entertaining montage. It wasn't boring. It wasn't run of the mill. You know, it was. But again, like I said, I was like, it's Rocky preschool, but I'll still give it to you guys. Good job.
Go ahead, Jen.
I like the very beginning of it where he's like, I'll take my workout clothes. It's all
So
like, that's where we're at right now.
You look like a T-Rex.
T-Rex arms.
That was
so great.
So another thing that I thought of, after he has his reconciliation with Ali and they become friends, and I know later on it says that they talked every day right up until Ali's death.
Mm-hmm.
I wonder if Ali gave him tips, because when we see Foreman in his next interview and he's on TV, which I think he's talking to, oh God, what is his name? Oh, I can't remember that talk show host, but he's
I was wondering which one that was. Letterman?
No, it's Carson.
Johnny Carson?
Johnny Carson.
Oh, that was Carson.
I think he's supposed to be Johnny Carson.
I couldn't tell, but I wasn't big on late. I mean, it was either Leno, Letterman, Carson. That was it, right?
Yeah, he's certainly not Leno.
And it's not Conan. Conan was later.
Yeah, no, I think it was Carson. But in that whole interview, when he's cracking jokes, like he's now like he's got a personality. He's not he's not big, stern, stoic George Foreman. He's George Foreman. Like I love that laugh that he had where he's cracking jokes with everybody at the youth group. He had that laugh.
Right.
It was infectious. It made me smile. It's like, hell yeah, I would love to have this guy around. Like he's a freaking ball of sunshine.
Yeah, it definitely seemed like a bit of Muhammad kind of rubbed off on him.
That personality, right?
Yeah.
Like, where he so I hear you got all your sons' names are George. Like, yep, we call him George Jr., George the Third. Like and it feels like a joke, but at the same time, like he's 100% serious.
He's actually serious, yeah.
But then he has his like he's controlling that interview, and that's such a Muhammad Ali thing to do. It's like you ask me a question, and I am going to take it where I want it to go.
Yep,
that's what happened there, and like he does that so often. From that point on, like where we see him, how he can talk with people. This is a dude we saw multiple times early in this movie. He's like, you're not good at speaking. You're not good at public speaking. You barely were able to talk to Paula. Like I don't know how you pulled that one off, but you did. Like that's who he was before. And then seeing him after, like, I can't help but assume Ali's at least brought it out of him. I'm not saying like he coached him or trained him, maybe he did, but at least he brought that out of him. Like, be a personality, be something, be fun, be who you want to be.
I agree. All right, so I've got a couple quotes, but and then the last scene that I wrote down, which is basically the last scene of the movie. And I've titled it Thanksgiving Fist Feast.
If I can jump in on this scene.
Sure, absolutely.
I don't like the way this ended. It was so anticlimactic. It's just like, and done. I mean, like we've been saying before with like all of the fights and everything, it's like there's no energy, and this ends with no energy, especially since in the fight he's losing. He is losing
getting his ass kicked.
He's getting his ass kicked. He's losing this fight, and he drops this guy. Like, he lands a good punch, and it's like, oh shit, you might have a chance at this. Like, I mean, the crowd, the announcers, that's where all of this energy is coming from. And then he just did it. It's over. We win. We're the champions. Cool. Roll credits. What? This is supposed to be such a big moment, and it ends with nothing, no energy.
I agree. So disappointing. The one cool thing that I did notice, I was like, all right, this is pretty good, is when he's sitting in the corner right before the ring that he knocks out. Damn it, who was he fighting again?
Joe Frazier?
Was it Joe? No.
At the very end?
Frazier was it was like a 26-year-old.
Is it Holyfield?
Was that Holyfield he lost to?
Evander Holyfield he lost to. It was man. I don't even know his name.
It's a bigger name. I'm trying to remember. Michael Moorer.
Oh. Yes, Moorer. That's who it was. So it's when it's the round right before he knocks down Moorer, and he's sitting in the ring, and the camera just kind of like goes blur vision. You know, it's like blurry on this, and this is after he got rocked, and then it goes blurry, and it's like, oh, point of vision or POV. Like, I get what you're doing here, but you can see how focused on Moyer he is, to where it's like, all right, you think you have me beat, and then he goes and looks at Doc and gives him the whole, like, using the head this time. I'm using the head, where he's like, all right, this guy he thinks that I'm beat. I'm just going to wait for that opening. And, you know, he finds the opening and connects and everything. But, I mean, yeah, I agree. This is a heavyweight title match where he is 46 or 45 and Moyer is 26 years old. How are we not breaking out every bell and whistle we have for this scene? Because it is, I mean, I was barely alive at this time, but I can only imagine that this was probably the talk for probably months building up to this fight. Like, people would probably get into arguments over 4th of July about who's going to win this fight. Relationships probably ended because of this fight. Like, I can only assume. It's not like they had cable and cell phones and
hopefully
and all that stuff. It's like people were like, there wasn't a lot of entertainment. So when you find out that he's going to be fighting someone he's double the age practically, I just don't know how they didn't go all out on this one. It really was disappointing. And it's one of the reasons I wrote it down is it's not so we can praise it. It's so we can just discuss. It's what we do in GoodFlickas. We bring out the good, and we also bring out the what the fuck were they thinking? And this would probably be one of those moments. So anyway.
Sorry.
Jen, did you have anything? No. Okay. It's just sad. It's sad. That's all.
That I don't have anything.
What?
That I don't have anything.
No. What they did with the scene. I mean, the recipe's there, guys. Like, I just don't get why the delivery wasn't.
I think they rushed this whole thing. Like, I mean, we go back to, he had 6 weeks to put on 50 pounds.
Right.
Clearly there's a rush happening. And when you rush things, you get sloppy.
Yeah.
And you miss, like, the fine details that are needed. And it's sad.
This isn't a scene. This is more of just an overall talking point that I don't think we've done justice on. So before we wrap it up, I want to make sure that we do, is Doc.
Yep.
What did you guys think of Doc? What did you? I mean, it's Forrest Whitaker, but what did you guys think of him and performance and just everything?
He's no Mickey.
Is anyone ever Mickey? I mean, come on. Spider's a bum rock. His voice alone was just, yeah, you're a boxing coach.
So I thought he did fine, but I think the difference between Forrest Whitaker's Doc and other coaches is in those boxing movies, they have that secret ingredient, right? Whatever it is, they have that secret ingredient.
I like where this is going.
Well, they have something, and most of them at least motivate me to like, wow, man, that like, this is what's so special about boxing. This is why people do this. This is what, like, that's that purpose that people find within this sport. That's what I get from other coaches. But from Doc, it's, yeah, boxing. It's not fighting. It's a sport with rules.
Yeah.
Okay. And like, okay, step left, step right, cut me off, jab. Like, you're coaching, sure, but you're not telling me why this is important. You're not making me feel the connection, because George is having these conversations with you. He is talking to you, and he is receiving that special ingredient. He is receiving the why you mean something to me and this sport. This dude was inducted into the Boxing Hall of Fame. Like, he has it, but you don't see it in this movie. And I mean, we keep talking about maybe it was rushed, whatever the excuse for why things are basically left lackluster. It's a shame. And it's such a sad fact, because it's Forrest Whitaker. Dude is incredible. I have seen him take a nothing role and make it phenomenal.
Mm-hmm.
He is that good. But with this, I mean, I don't want to blame the writing. I don't want to blame the acting, but whatever it is, there's not that special ingredient. That's what I got to leave it at. There's no secret sauce to Doc. And this
that is so perfectly said.
But this explained nothing, you know. It's like he had one moment of like, you got to use your head, like, you know, like there was that moment of, oh, this could be the secret sauce, but for it to be the end of just like, well, what does that mean? You're going to use your head. Okay. Well, what are you doing strategically that is you using your head? I have to assume that it's like, okay, you're just waiting for your opportunity. Bam, you knocked them out. Okay. You've been throwing freaking bombs of punches your entire life. This was a fact that I wanted to bring up with his, how many fights did I say? 81 fights, 76 wins, 5 losses. Of those 76 wins, 68 of them were by knockout.
Damn.
68. He only had 8 wins that were by decision.
He's throwing haymakers.
That's my point. Right? Like it. So tapping your head and telling me you're using your head for this fight gives me nothing. I see Muhammad Ali using his head for the fight, the rope-a-dope. He's got his plan. He's got his strategy. Whether his coaches agreed with it or not and tell him, get off the ropes, get off the ropes. It's like, no, this is going to work, and it's working. But there's no plan. There's no using his head in that final fight. It's just, you're getting your ass kicked. Bam. You landed a solid punch to the face, and he dropped. How was that using your head? That's throwing a punch like you always do. I want my secret sauce. Go ahead, Jen.
Well, I'm going to try and play the other side here of why we didn't see secret sauce. So we hear towards the end that Doc admits that, like, he lost it. He lost his enjoyment and his passion for doing what he does as they got, you know, bigger and bigger and bigger. So maybe that's why we didn't really see the secret sauce because he had lost it all by that time. Like his reasoning and of why he's the trainer, wasn't his truth. And so we don't get that connection. And in fact, I think the most like vulnerable that we do see him is when he admits like, oh yeah, I lost it. So it made me.
Oh, that's fair. And to tie in with that, the moment where Doc confronts George after his testimonial, and he's like, "You have to fight. You are a fighter." I think George throws back the trading in one uniform for another, like you. And he's like, and Doc comes back with, "I didn't have a choice. My choice was taken from me. I had to change uniforms. I had to give up boxing. I had to give up my love." And of course he comes back with, "So did I. This wasn't a choice." But it was. And the moments where he's saying like, "I don't believe you." He basically says, "George, you're a liar. You're lying to yourself. This isn't who you are. It's part of you, but it's not who you are. You are a boxer." Like that was a strong moment that was emotional, that it had an impact, but it was left. It was left in the air, and then they moved on from it. That scene, or there should have been more where like that would have been what I would call the secret sauce moment, right? Of like basically him saying like, boxing is who you are. It's what you are. You can't, a tiger can't change his stripes. I feel like that was in Rocky. I don't know. Feels like a Mickey thing. Anyway,
I think like a Rafiki thing.
It could be, but he's a great guy too. But I'm with you though. Like Doc doesn't have the heart anymore because it was ripped from him, right? Like I think I can't remember the context or what it was, but when he says like, "You broke my heart," he tells George like, "You broke my heart when you did this."
Mm-hmm.
When you left.
Because
it's when he quit boxing.
Yeah. So it was during that talk. It was during that "you broke my heart." Like, and I think that was like the final straw of Doc being the Doc that he was. The last part of him was gone in that moment, and he never quite became that again. Even when George comes back, like he's Doc, but he's not the same. See, he agrees with me.
Every time I hear someone say, "You broke my heart" like that, I always hear in my head, "But then again, you break everyone's hearts."
I'm not sure what that quote's from.
Saying Almost Fire, I believe.
Oh God, I haven't seen that.
Demi Moore.
I haven't seen it in so long.
Yeah.
I just remember.
I'm almost positive that's what it is.
Is it Rob Lowe with the saxophone?
Yeah, Rob Lowe with the sax. Yep.
That's a sexy image, but I don't remember that movie. I'm gonna have to rewatch it. That's a depressing movie, man.
That's a tough one. It's like a life after college.
Yeah, like maybe I should watch it again.
I think I'm down to quotes, guys. What about you?
Let me look at my notes. No, I got nothing. That's it. I'm out.
This guy did not just pull out Post-its.
But to be fair, this is the one note that I wrote to prove that I wrote my score before I said it. That's all this is. That's the only reason this Post-it exists.
All right.
I Post-it, so don't make fun of me.
All right. Well, I'll just do some of my quotes then. First one is more delivery, not what is said, but is during one of the fights. "Down goes Frazier. Down goes Frazier. Down goes Frazier.
That was good.
Thank you.
Well, that was a good impression.
Been practicing.
Yeah. I think the guy who was doing that, like that announcer, I think he's trying to mimic the original guy because
I bet
that is a voice. Like I've heard that voice. I've heard those words. Down goes Frazier. Down that voice. Yes.
It's so funny how when you're watching sports, any type of sports, if an announcer makes just the way that they announce something, it is like burned in your brain. You know, it's like I can think of one.
Yes.
I can think of one where it's with I forgot who the announcer was, but it's Tiger Woods, and he's doing a putt, and he goes, better than most, and it sinks right in, and I'm like, oh man, it's just, I don't know, it's so funny with the way they announce things.
Well, it's crazy, right? Like that's the commentators, like they become almost as famous.
The energy.
As the moment. Well, they become almost as famous as the moment because they are the energy.
Yes.
They're conveying the intensity of what's happening here.
Exactly.
And what they say becomes the dialogue of the moment.
And some of them just have like the voice, you know?
Oh yeah.
It's like oh my god, how dare I forget his name? One of the the San Francisco Giants radio announcers.
I have no clue.
Oh man, John someone. Anyway, his voice is just like, you hear it and you're like, you're instantly at a Giants game.
Bob Uecker.
No,
I'm just saying, like that's another announcer voice that's like you know Bob Uecker.
Yeah. All right, so yeah, the down goes Frazier. I thought that was just really good the way he delivered that one. This one was the commercial. For once, give yourself a chance.
Which commercial?
About the Job Corps.
Oh yeah.
And it's in that old school, almost like radio voice, like, for once, give yourself a chance. I'll give you the scoop there, Sonny. They don't hurt me, I hurt them. That's the type of mentality that Mr. Foreman had.
Oh yeah.
Going into the ring, which, you know, I guess 68 out of 74 knockouts, like that.
71, I think.
Or 76. 68 out of 76 knockouts. Yeah, you're right. They don't hurt you. Tonight you're a beast. Let him out. I like that one.
That's also a line I would love to hear Mickey say.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, I was like, that line could have been in Rocky for sure. That would have been good, especially in like Mickey's voice. Rock, tonight you're a beast. Let him out.
You're a beast. Let him out.
That's not the best, Mickey. I've done better. And then I already said that one. Okay. So that was all my quotes.
Yeah,
I really like the one about I didn't know Jesus was lost.
Oh, that one was good. And again, it's his delivery. I did not know Jesus was lost.
Yeah, I didn't know he was lost.
George.
Sorry, I keep getting more and more impressed by George Foreman's fighting career the more that I'm looking into it.
Yeah. I didn't do any research on that. I always try to, as you know, no matter what, I stick to movie research, not bio research.
Yeah. But this is why I'm so impressed. 5 losses. That alone is mind-blowing.
It is.
81 fights, only 5 losses. That is mind-blowing.
And if you think about it, one of them was to defend his title.
Mm-hmm.
One of them was to go for a title.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know the other three.
I can look into that in a sec. But
yeah,
of his 5 losses, only one was a knockout.
Ali.
Ali is the
wow.
is the only man to knock out George Foreman.
Wow.
Insane. That is absolutely insane.
And you know what? They didn't really show in this movie that it was a knockout.
Not
it was
really.
more of a knockdown.
Well, it's only a knockout because of the count.
Oh, okay. Got it.
Yeah. Although, because that I don't know. That's, well, I guess the TKO is basically when the ref calls it, right? They're like, yeah, he's done.
I think TKO stands for total knockout.
Technical knockout.
Or technical? Okay. See, I don't know a lot about boxing.
Neither do I, but I believe that the TKO is a technical knockout, which I think is when, I think that's when it's essentially the fight is called because like you win, this guy is done for. Like
basically what happened for the gold medal.
Yeah.
Got it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, and there was the other fight that he had too, where he was fighting the guy and he's like, "You're not going to call this. Look at him. He's hurt. Like,
yeah,
like stop this. I don't need to knock this guy out. Just end this fight. It's done." Which is also just kind of like an interesting moment too, of like, because I think that was his first fight back, like, with the
where he's doing it his own way.
Well, and the guy got him with that cheap shot right after the whistle or after the bell, and he just, you could see for a minute there he was ready to let the beast out.
Yep.
But he finishes the fight, and that whole time, like he's beating this guy and he knows that he's beating him, but he's not going for the kill like he probably would have. Like that's a beautiful moment of seeing him having truly changed.
Yeah,
it's his knockout, but he doesn't have to end it in such a brutal way.
A little bit of growth there.
Yeah. I'm trying to look at his other fights. So yeah. Wow. Interesting. So his fun facts, his first loss was to Muhammad Ali, also his only knockout. And then he loses to Jimmy Young, who's in this movie, with a unanimous decision. So it's basically he just lost by points.
Yeah. Yep. Mm-hmm.
Then I want to see the numbers on that one. So when he loses to Jimmy Young, his record is 45-2. And then he wins his next loss. His record is 69-3 to Evander Holyfield.
Oh, wait, pause.
Yeah.
So he loses to Ali and he's 40-1.
Yes.
He loses to Jimmy and he's 45-2.
The 2 is that loss to Jimmy.
Right. So he won a couple of fights right after the loss of Ali.
Oh yeah.
Yet the movie made it seem like he just derailed at the time. Like that was it. It was like Ali beat him and then he never won again type thing.
Yeah.
That's so interesting.
He had because these were the fights to try and get back to Ali. This was when he was still trying to get back to the fight. So he fights Joe Frazier and beats him. He has 5 fights before he loses to Jimmy Young. And that becomes his
he actually had wins in between the loss of Ali.
Yes, he had 5 wins in between.
Yeah, see, the movie did not portray that at all.
No, they didn't. Wow.
Yeah, so he loses. The second loss is Jimmy Young. And then I'm going to lose count on wins here. So we're just going to get to the next record. So he loses to Evander Holyfield, 69-3. He's got 3 wins, and then he loses to Tommy Morrison, 72-4. And then his last loss is his last fight, Shannon Briggs, in 76-5.
Wow.
Oh, he lost his last fight.
He did. Which it says MD. I don't know what that means as far as
medical doctor.
That's what I thought.
That's what I'm saying. Like, I don't know what that stands for. But so that's a loss that he has as the MD.
Man,
made damage.
He should have just retired on the return heavyweight champion win.
Majority decision. Okay. So that means he won the votes, essentially. Got it. And then in the other fight, he lost. So
yeah, he should have just retired on his Moore fight. Like, that's it. I'm the heavyweight champion. I am no longer fighting.
I'm done.
Maybe the only way to get him to stop was to lose.
I think at that point, like, he was really just fighting to keep it going, right? Like,
probably.
I've got my championship. Now it's just like, let's see if I can maintain it. I don't think it's really to prove anything at that point.
No, he proved enough.
Exactly. And then when somebody finally does beat him, it's like, all right, now I've done nothing more to achieve.
Do we know if he got shredded down as he continued to fight?
If he got like skinnier and
like his 19-year-old self.
I mean, I'll look.
Curious. I wonder if he did. Like,
I doubt it.
I will look to see if it's got like his weigh-ins or something on here. It's
like, what did he look like in his last fight?
Probably like he does now. No, yeah, it doesn't say anything about like weigh-ins or anything like that, but you probably have to look up pictures if you really want to see what he looked like.
I'm curious. What year would it be?
For his last fight?
Yeah.
It was on November 22nd, 1997. And he was 48 years old. He was almost 49. Yeah.
Oh my God.
He's winning. Hold on. Okay, so he beats Moore, and he has 1, 2, 3 more wins before he loses. So he wins at 45 years old, and then for 3 more years he's winning.
Yeah, he didn't shred down.
I couldn't imagine. So
let me see if you guys can see.
Oh no. Well, that's his fight with Moore, isn't it?
I just typed in George Foreman's last fight.
Oh, no, unless he's the one going down. It seemed to be pretty.
No, this is coming up as George Foreman's final win.
That would be.
Right.
Look up George Foreman versus Shannon Briggs.
Okay, George Foreman.
There's a bunch of names on here I don't recognize.
You can watch it on the YouTube.
Ooh. It was on HBO. Methinks. I don't know.
But yeah, no, he wasn't. He never got his little shredded figure back.
I don't think he can. Eat that much barbecue, you're not getting your abs back. All right.
Final thoughts
on tea sauce.
Tea sauce. Yeah. Final thoughts on who won the movie.
Yep.
I'll go first. I really enjoyed this talk. It made me like this movie a lot more, but I think that we kind of hit the nail on the head with kind of where it falls short. I hope if there's ever like another biopic done of George Foreman, I'd hope it'd be done more like the Ali biopic. I know I've mentioned a lot this evening, but it's far superior in my opinion of how the story is told, especially since it kind of relies on the whole drama of it all and even underdog story kind of thing. So I hope that we can have a better telling of George Foreman's story but I really enjoyed what this was and how it is. And huge shout out to the actors. What was the guy who plays George Foreman again? Khris
Davis. Khris spelled Khris.
Okay, yeah. So he did a phenomenal job for carrying this movie, for seeing him in multiple stages of George Foreman's life. Absolutely incredible. Yeah, big shout out to him. I will kind of leave him as well, you know what? I don't. I'll give my honorable mention to our fellow who played Muhammad Ali, just because I believe he stole the show every time he was on screen. He was absolutely incredible, which is what you'd want and expect from anybody that's portraying Muhammad Ali. Even if they're a side character, they should steal the show. That was Muhammad Ali. But I'm going to give it to Khris Davis, because he did an incredible job. And I mean, we spent probably 20-30 minutes digging into the whole body transformation of this guy. He put himself through that. I don't know what his boxing background is, but I know he had to go through some training and things for this. So just huge shout out to him and George Foreman as a human being. I didn't know anything really about him other than his grill and the fact that he was a boxer. And this really opened my eyes to him as a human being and what it was that he went through and going through. So yeah, secondary or teed up real George Foreman and portrayal of George Foreman.
Yeah, we've said enough. And I'm pleased and happy with us for really like kind of digging deep into this one and seeing where the yarn unraveled is, I think, the best way to put it. I'm gonna have to basically match you, man. It's my honorable mention. It was going to be Sullivan Jones. I'm also gonna throw in Shine as well, who plays Paula. She doesn't get a lot of screen time.
She's certainly one of my new celebrity crushes. Like,
she doesn't get a lot of screen time, but boy, does she use the screen time that she does really, really well. And apparently can rock multiple hairdos. And I was like, oh, we're fro. Oh no, we're straight. Now we're up. Like, I just rocking it all day long. So definitely honorable mention for her. But the winner it's Khris Davis. I mean, the body transformation, the acting. I can't imagine how George Foreman's actual style of boxing, how complicated that probably was to try to master. But I think he did a really good job with like the sideway punch. I mean, if you look at boxers are up, and it's again, Rocky versus Foreman, the styles are completely different. And Khris Davis, I think, did just a phenomenal job with just even mastering his style and the way he did. But I truly think he gave it his everything on this one. When it comes to just showing the anger and the frustration, to showing I found you. I mean, there's so many different ranges that he had to find in this movie to make you believe, what George Foreman went through. And I think he just did a phenomenal job in doing so.
Hear, hear.
All right, final thoughts. I wish that they did a better job with the movie, because it is a beautiful story, and it would have been nice to see it to its highest potential. And I mean, who wins it? You gotta give it to the God Squad. God Squad wins it, and God Squad is my way of saying the Holy Trinity, but I call them God Squad. They win it for me. Beautiful.
All right, yeah. Shout out to the God Squad.
There you go.
Sweet. that wraps up Big George Foreman, and I think we nailed this one. This was a great chat, guys.
Currently streaming on Netflix.
Yeah, he's already so emotional to hear it. It's streaming on
choked
Netflix.
Up about it.
I know. I'm feeling it. Hey, it's okay. No shame here, man. It's okay. Let it out. Be emotional. But yeah, streaming on Netflix. If you guys are interested, this is I'd certainly recommend it to you. Give it a watch. Let us know what you guys think. So give Big George Foreman a watch on Netflix and reach out to us on Instagram at good.flickas. Let us know what you think. We want to hear your thoughts in the comments on YouTube at GoodFlickas. And you can give us an email at goodflickas2020@gmail.com. Tell us all of your thoughts. Your nice long emails are going to make us real happy. Brian loves reading, and he wants to hear everything you've got to say. I want you to prove that you can type 100 words a minute.
Nice.
But check us out, and you can always follow us here on Twitch at GoodFlickas. Mondays, typically Mondays. Every now and then we'll switch it up. And we'll try and do a decent job of making sure when we have these day switches that it shows up on our schedule. I apologize for not always being up to date, but we appreciate all of you guys coming to see us and watching us on YouTube and supporting us. But I think that about wraps it up for me. Brian, you want to close us out, sir?
Yeah. No, guys, thank you so much for listening to the talk on Big George Foreman. Like Matt said, we'd love to hear your comments and what you guys thought, and also appreciate anyone that likes and subscribes us as well. So mad props to anyone who's done that already. And if you haven't, we're watching you. We're watching you.
Remember Enemy of the State?
Watch. Yeah, we are watching you. We're also, panning our cameras 360 degrees in a lingerie store. Man, what do we say? You know what? We really, really, really wanted this one to float like a butterfly. Unfortunately, I think it's safe to say that we got stung like a bee. See you next week.